not the best at titles. He's not the best at NBA.
Gonna be live things where we're doing live reactions to music. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Coming in with that big noise. Coming in with that big noise. Hey, bro, I was more excited to get on here and say that big noise more than anything, dog. Like,
hey,
for some reason, dog, like, I have no clue why I'm so amped to say big noise, bro. Like, it makes no sense, my G, but season 2, what's poppin'? It's the boy Word, the Word of Clarity podcast. Back at it again with my boy Kenny Klarity in the building. How we feeling, my G? Cat's eye?
Man, this is a perfect time to kick off season 2.
Yes, sir.
NBA season is in full effect, on its way. You know what I'm saying? As we're getting into the preseason, Drizzy just dropped. It's crazy. So this is the time, dog. Like, if we're gonna have any discussion, this is it. This is the time to get into the weeds, man. So, you know, season 2 feeling got me right, man. I'm ready to go.
Yes, sir, man. Season 2 feels good. It's appropriate, like you said, man. Somehow, the stars always align when it's time to pod. You know what I mean? You just had a lot of stuff going on in the NBA offseason, which is crazy. Drizzy drops appropriately around the time that we back in action. I always say, man, this is the best time of the year. You got basketball season coming. You got fourth quarter projects dropping. You know what I mean? I'm a huge fan of the fall. The best holidays I feel is in the fall. You know what I'm saying? Cats love to try to challenge me on that, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How you feeling going into the fall, man? Like, what's going on down there in H-Town, my G?
Listen, hoodie season.
Hoodie season.
You know what I'm saying? Yo, hoodie season is undefeated for me, bro. All my winter clothes, you know what I'm saying? I'll be stacking them up during December. So cats be like, why you buying that? Watch.
Yes, sir.
When hoodie season drops, it's ready. So, you know, beyond that, I agree with you, bro. You know, you can't beat Thanksgiving and Christmas, man. Stop playing with me, man.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
man.
saying, as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah. Houston, you know, and Houston been acting right recently since October. Been popping in the end of September. It's been rainy. It's been 70s. I'm like, okay, bet. This is what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? So I love this weather. I love the season. I love the fall. I'm ready to go, man. Sports, music, it's all right.
Man. You know we barely dive all the way deep on the side of the NFL, but what has been looking like over there, man? How you feeling? What's your squad's looking like over there, dog? What we doing?
My squads are depressing, G. I think it's time that we fire Bill Belichick. I'm a Patriots fan. I'm from the city. Woo! I'm from the town. I'm from Boston.
Wow,
so
that's big noise right there. Fire Belichick.
Man, fire Belichick, man. It's time. It's not because he's not a great coach, but you know, I'm starting to feel like at the end of it, I know we're at a talent deficit, but I'll be wondering, he still got the ear of the locker room after 20 plus seasons?
Yeah,
I just wonder that. And like, I think now it's like, you know, football has changed. The way the sport is played has changed. What players want from a coach has changed. And so maybe it might be time, bro, to be like, you know what, Bill, you killed it for so many years. You gave us 6 rings. We good, bro. This, you know what I mean? Pack it up, shake hands, and move on. Like, that might be the next move for us. So yeah, my team personally is second, but let me tell you this, pause. But let me tell you this, bro. Like, for me,
yo, the pause rate since them niggas Cameron and Mace has got on the scene in the pod world has went up at an all-time high, G.
All time, dog. All time.
It's crazy,
all
dog.
Time,
like, niggas
G.
almost got to pause for anything now, G. Like,
it's crazy. It's crazy. His most recent post about Method Man was hilarious.
I ain't see it, bro. I got to check it out.
Yeah, you got to tap in, bro. It's hilarious. But the NFL season been popping. I think I would love to get a rematch of last year. Philly's been going crazy. San Francisco's been going crazy. So I would love, even though the Chiefs were in it last year, I would love to see Philly and Kansas City. And if not, I would love to see Philly and San Francisco. Those are the 2 teams that are busting everybody's head wide open to the white meat right now. They're killing everybody. They're smoking everything. So yeah, NFL season looking right, G.
That's what's up, dog. Yeah, San Fran, the Niners is my squad, man. I feel like, dog, if we had one of our QBs last year, man, we would have had a great chance of winning last year, man. But the fact that 3 niggas go down in one game is just crazy. I don't think I ever seen something like that in my life, man. But now, man, I'm looking forward to it, G. Pat Mahomes, you know, still looking like the truth. Joe Burrows, man, he on a struggle bus this year, ain't he? What's going on over there, man?
He's hurt, man. He's been playing hurt since the beginning of the season. You know it's bad when your number one wideout call you out and say say,
I
nigga,
missed
I'm
that.
always
I
open.
seen something. I seen something like what did you talking about Jamar Chase, right? What did he say?
Yeah, Jamar Chase. They said, hey, Jamar, can we ask you, what's been the problem with the Bengals offense? He said, do you feel like you're getting open as much as last year? He said, nigga, I'm always open. I said, damn.
Nah, did he say nigga for real, dog?
No, he said, nigga, I'm always open. And he said,
man.
and then he said, I'm always. Then this nigga said, I'm always effing open. Excuse my French. I said, all right, man. Come on, bro. He doubled down
He
twice.
took a page out of my boy Russell Westbrook with that shit right there. You niggas is tripping.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, it's certain locker room moments that's just gonna go down as all-time iconicness, bro. Like,
yo, Russell, whatever he said, nigga, what? That was hilarious. I said, Russell is tripping. That was so good,
man,
bro.
I'm excited to see the rest of the NFL season go, man. I gotta get in on some FanDuel or some of that. You on one of them fantasy football leagues, G? I ain't in one of this year, but I know cats be on it. So
last year for sure. The year before that, I was in second place, man. I was a heartbreak away from winning a little pot of bread, man. So, man, I'm so scarred from that, bro. I decided not even to mess around and join this year, G. But I might jump in next year. We'll see what's up.
Bet it up, G. Well, we gonna get to it, man. You know we always talking about music and sports. Whole lot of big noise been happening in the NBA offseason. One of the most ruthless, reckless, like lethalest cats in the game, in the history of the game, if you ask me, man. Dame has finally went to a new city, new franchise, man. Ends up with who he's believing is the best player in the league, in Giannis Antetokounmpo. And they still kept a lot of guys over there. I was surprised, man. But immediate thoughts, man. How we feeling about that mug, G? That's a big time move. How we feeling when that came across your screen? How'd you feel?
I'm gonna say it like this, bro. I'm gonna be clear. I was moving around. I think I was in a meeting at the time. You know what I'm saying? And when I had one of my boys call me before I even seen the ESPN notification. So I'm like, hey man, I'm busy right now. I gotta hit you back. He said, no, you don't. Give me a minute. I was like, what you talking about?
Give me a second.
He said, yo, give me a second. Let me tell you this news, bro. Said Damian Lillard got traded. I said, Miami got him? That's the first thing I said. I was like, I was about to be hurt, you know what I'm saying? Because they already took us out in 7 games last year. So I was like, man, they got him. He said, nah, not Miami. I said, don't tell me the Raptors.
Ooh.
He said, nah. I said, all right, thank God. I said, anybody else get him besides the Raptors? I'm Gucci. Who was it? He said, Milwaukee.
That mug, boy, nobody seen Milwaukee even had a horse in the race in this mug. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, they weren't even on the reported teams to have the assets to get this dude, bro. So I'm like, okay, so all right, well, let me hit you back in 5. Digested it, meeting ended, hit him back. I said, you know what? We don't got the details of the trade yet, so it really depends on who they lose, because if they lose Drew and Chris, that team's not as formidable. Yeah. But if they only lose one, oh man, that changes everything. And then it came out that they only lost Drew, and I said, oh wow. I said, yeah, it's over. So listen, I'll be honest with you, dog. I'm happy for Dame. And I'm going to always support my squad first and foremost before anything. So, of course, I want to see the Celtics raise another banner. Yeah. But honestly, I'm such a Dame fan that if they were to knock us out, it would be the first time I wouldn't be super mad, bro. Like, I would actually be happy. Dame has paid his dues more than anybody in the league on one team. What else do you want somebody to do as it pertains to loyalty? Bro, do you know, let me drop a bit of news for people who ain't privy to it. Let me give somebody something exclusive for the most part. It's gonna be exclusive to a lot of people. Do you know that before Dame was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks, the reason why he was upset was not the fact that he went to Milwaukee, but him and the GM of the Milwaukee Bucks had a conversation. And Damian Lillard told him, this is how loyal Damian Lillard is. He said, look, man, I know I've requested one team. I get it. if you can't make this trade to Miami happen, I'm willing to just come back and play for Portland. He told the GM that. You know what the GM told him in response? Nah, you've already made the trade. Let's move forward. And refused to let Damian Lillard come back to the team.
Crazy.
That, like, I don't even know what that's heard of.
Yeah.
So, shout out to Dame, bro. I hope he gets his ring this year. Unless my guys get it, let Dame get a ring, bro. I ain't even mad. He's paying his dues. That's how I feel about it, bro. They're formidable. They should be the favorites. Nah. They should be tied to be the... Yeah, they should be tied to be the favorites in the East.
Yeah, we gonna chop up that favorite conversation in a minute, dog. But, man, my immediate thoughts... Honestly, I was just randomly already on ESPN, got the notification. I'm like, yo, this smug. My first statement was best duo since Kobe and Shaq. What I mean by that is like best big and small. Like, we haven't seen something like this in a while. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as like each cat at each position is dang near the best at it, right? If it wasn't for Steph Curry, Dame would be the best point guard in the league. And I got, obviously, Giannis the best four in the league, right? You put them cats on the same squad, man. I feel like they games, they mentality, the way they approach the game, it's like-minded. And if you heard the interviews on, like, Media Day, it was a lot of that being discussed, and that was the narrative between both of them. Like, they really see the game the same way. They was talking about just getting on the court, really making it work. And, Dame, I believe, is like if he wasn't the number one points off of pick and rolls, he was like number 2. And then what's the name I had like the most picks set in setting up somebody else 4 points. So when you put that on the same team, I mean, bro, it's gonna be unimaginable to be like what's gonna come from that. You know what I'm saying? Like Dame was actually giving his thoughts on just like, man, what is teams gonna do versus like our offense that we gonna run? You know what I'm saying? Like, what can they do when you got a transition guy like Giannis where you is a locomotive, you trying to stop him, and if you do, he got a Dame to kick it out to? Oh, my God. I mean, you literally may have the most deadliest lethal weapon on the outside and the inside. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's going to be insanity, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like immediately, I feel like these guys... If they have enough time in this training camp preseason, I would suspect they would come out like something like 10-2, 10-0. They may come out with something like that if they really clicking on that type of time. You know what I'm saying? Like,
hey, word. You ready for this?
What's that?
The Milwaukee Bucks should win 60 games this year.
Oh yeah, for sure.
60.
Yeah.
Niggas ain't winning 60 games no more, bro. Yeah. The Milwaukee Bucks should win 60 games this year.
They won 58 last year. Yeah, they won 58 last year.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. Let me, dog. Well, here's what people don't understand. When you examine the deeper truths of basketball, when you get into the fabric, bro.
Yeah.
What you said is so pivotal because what do you do when Giannis is coming downhill? And even when you stop him, you still haven't stopped the offense. Like, you stop him from driving, and when he throws it left, he throws it to a wide open Damian Lillard.
Bruh.
When Damian...
That mug is gonna be something deadly, bro. Woo! I mean, bro.
When Damian Lillard shoots an open 3, you know what the other team says? Get back. They don't even say rebound. They say get
rebound.
Back.
Get back.
Hey, get back, bro. Let's go. They start the offense. They know it's a bucket.
Nah, no kizzy, dog.
Yeah.
No kizzy.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, I'm disgusted. I cannot believe it.
I can't believe it either, dog. But Dame is like, I couldn't be more happier for somebody than Dame, though. Like, I must say that. Like, Dame, like you said, bro, has put his just due time in over in Portland. I'm glad that it's another small city franchise type of situation that he walks into. Though I don't think
really.
I just think like because Milwaukee is like out of mind, out of sight. They don't gotta be in the controversy or faced with a lot of guys like in Hollywood and LA. Like we got a game on TV every week, multiple times out the week. I feel like it's just a different expectation in those bigger cities as well. And I feel like they really like when Brian came to LA, bro, it was so much pushback. One, he's Brian, and he's always been a nemesis of Kobe's. But we're not just going to accept anybody walking between those doors at crypto now. You know what I'm saying? Like, so Dame walking into a Milwaukee situation, another small city, small franchise, the lights ain't as bright, though I think he's one of the ones that actually rise when the lights are brighter. I think it's just a perfect situation, bro. Like, it's just a match made in heaven between the team he walks into and then the city and the type of franchise it is too, bro. You know what I'm saying? I would have loved him in Miami too, because I think he fits that Miami culture as well with Pat Riley and Spost down there. But I think this is better than any situation I believe he could have walked into out there, if you ask me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that's crazy. No, and I actually agree with you when I hear your argument, because at first I was like, you sure? But I get what you're saying, mainly because, bro, I guess the only thing that I'm battling with is not what you're saying, because I do think, like, coming from Portland to jump into the expectations of an LH, definitely that can be a drastic and jarring change that could really mess things up. Yeah. But I only think of it from the standpoint of like Damian Lillard's prospects from a marketing perspective. Mm-hmm. I always thought that Dame was an extremely marketable dude, and I see the type of opportunities that a Chris Paul got when he was playing for the Clippers, or Blake Griffin got when he was playing for the Clippers. And I say to myself, like, how much more would Damian Lillard's profile grow if he were in a city like Miami, or if he played for the Clippers, or if, you know what I'm saying, like, and so I've always wanted to see that side of it from Dame too, where it's like you become a household name, not just on the court and for NBA fans and for basketball fans, but also for the casual who's like, man, who this dude that's showing up on all these commercials with Jake from State Farm? You know what I mean? Like, right. That's what I wanted for Dame too. So, but yeah, listen, Stephen A. said it best. You want to see him in Miami, but there's no, like, Damian Lillard can't cry today. This is probably the best situation for him as it pertains to winning the championship and growing his individual status as a player. He's already a top 75 player. Yeah. Over the likes of Kyrie, by the way. Without a ring.
Without an MVP, without a lot. It's crazy.
Without a lot. But here's the thing. Who gonna argue with that? I'm not.
I'm not. Nah, he's like, when he made the list, I'm like, nah, bro. If it's somebody like in the type of situation he's in, he's the one to win that type of, to make that type of list, being that he hasn't even won a ring, got an MVP. Like, I think he's just, sometimes Dame has been the victim of playing almost in the wrong era, not because he doesn't fit this era, but because it's the existence of Steph Curry. Like, a lot of his thunder gets taken away because you got this guy in San Diego or the Bay Area that's just a golden child, super marketable, light skinned. This nigga's been to how many rings he didn't been to? He got 4, but how many he been to? 6? He's like 4-2, right? Yeah. So he didn't been in his situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, he has one of those stories, bro. And Dame, he's very marketable, but I feel like being that he's in Portland, small city, like, he can go off of 55. It's already on the West Coast, so it happens like at 11 o'clock, maybe even midnight on the East Coast. Cats ain't even gonna wake up to even know what happened. You know what I'm saying? So that type of situation, it doesn't favor him. But I'm glad he's still in Milwaukee, dog, because if he gets one ring, a lot changes, bro. Like, he shoots up a lot of ranks in a lot of ways. We look at him in versus Curry.
Absolutely.
We may have to revisit that conversation, bro.
Listen, I've always thought, I've said it here on the podcast. I feel like I'm Max Kellerman talking about the Tom Brady cliff. If Damian Lillard were on the Golden State Warriors, they may not even have lost those 2 finals they lost. I ain't gonna hold you. Yeah. Damian Lillard might have 6 rings right now. If you just swap them.
I see it. Cat's gonna come in, guns blazing on this cat.
Hey, season 2, bro. That's where I'm at. If Damian Lillard swap places with Steph Curry, he might have 6 of them things right now. That's just how I feel, bro. Personally.
Okay. Hey, it's one thing. I'm not going to go as far as saying 6 rings, But I will say he probably would have, at minimum, probably have 4 rings and probably would have had 4 final MVPs for sure. He wouldn't have one. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Like, that's one thing I'm super confident in right there. But now, go ahead, G.
Let me go a step further. If the Milwaukee Bucks do what I think they're going to do this year, Giannis may win another MVP, but if they win the finals, Damian Lillard will be finals MVP over Giannis Antetokounmpo. Period. Because let me tell you something. When the lights are brightest, I don't trust many people more than Damian Lillard. That dude has sent so many cats home in the Western Conference. It's been ridiculous. Paul George still got nightmares of that shot.
Oh, yeah.
Still.
James Harden.
James Harden ain't never recovered for how the Blazers sent them boys home, bro. Like like Damian Lillard's track record proves it, bro. The man scored 71 points last year. What else does he have to do?
Yeah.
What else does Damian Lillard have to do? Let me ask you this before we transition, because I've always been interested in this. I seen recently Kyrie Irving, your boy Irv, being interviewed, and they said, should you have made the top 75 list? He said, absolutely. He said, I continue to be disrespected because, various things, and he lists those things. And I think that's kind of true. But then I thought to myself, if he's gonna, because there's such a respect for the old school players, even though there's probably more of a probability that one of the old school players should be removed from that list, they won't. So then I started thinking, who are the new school players who are on that list? Anthony Davis, champion. And Steph Curry, champion. And I'm looking at all the new school players who are on the list. The only person without the rings, without the accolades, that he could replace in the new era, who was on that top 75 list, is Damian Lillard. So I ask you, in light of this conversation, should Irv replace, if it came down to Damian Lillard or Kyrie Irving for the last spot in the NBA top 75, who's the person who takes that spot?
Yeah, without even thinking, I'm giving it to Irv, dog. It's a certain, Irv is just a certain type of cat for me, dog. One, I believe he's cut from the same cloth that Dame is, right? As far as clutchness, killer, the lights are bright, he rises to the stars, like he's that type of guy. We've seen it, and that's the reason why we've seen it on the biggest stage at the highest stakes, right? Coming back 3-1. Game 7, and you got to know who we do it against. Side step, top of the key, right side. Curry, B, come on, B. That's iconic on the that's arguably one of the greatest shots of all NBA history, right? Kizzy. The play that happens before when Brian goes down and get the block off the glass is one of the best defensive stops in the finals, and then that shot following is one of the best offensive shots in the finals as well. I know that's a singular thing, right? So a lot of why I say that is definitely on the back of that type of that series in that particular play. And then Irv, bro, when you talking about skill set, bro, I think most would agree, at least in the modern era for sure, probably is the most skilled guy on the offensive side of the ball that we've seen, right?
Hands down.
His handles is unmatched. He can beat you inside, like the way he can attack the rim and just torque his body mid-air is ridiculous. He can pull the three. He's not pulling from where Curry and Dame is, but as you can see in the finals, he can hit shot from pretty much anywhere when needed, right? And then it's close, and I'm not saying that easily. I'm not saying I'm taking Irv easily over a Dame. Somebody can be on the opposite side of my take and give me reason to believe Dame should be ahead of Irv as well. It's a pick'em for me. It's definitely a pick'em. But I honestly probably would look at guys like James Harden, right? I don't think Dame is the only one. James Harden made the top 75, correct?
Yeah.
James Harden. I think people can question my guy. See, this is where I got to be honest at. Russell Westbrook. These are guys in those situations where they're ringless as well. They have MVPs, but this guy's on there with not MVPs, not at the talent level of a Russ in a Harden, that still I think Irv would challenge. And Russ, Harden, Dame, as far as the new guys, I think he can be in that space. Irv would be in that space where he can knock out of those three could be in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, what you feel about those guys? Because I don't think they super cemented. They can be exchanged. You know what I'm saying? What you think?
Yeah, I listen. As much as crap as I give Kyrie, I just give Kyrie crap because he be weird sometime, bro, and I'd be like, you weren't this weird in the beginning. What happened? So that's all. And then he sometimes he just don't want to show up to work. Like sometimes he just wants to burn sage in Africa, and I don't understand that. Like that's just strange to me.
Come
bro.
on,
Like,
man, let my boy rock, man.
listen, bro. Like Kyrie, we got a game in the playoffs. I'll be back, man. I'm going to Yugoslavia. Like why? Like what are you doing? What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like so I don't understand that. But outside of that, Kyrie Irving can't be questioned in my opinion, and I think the championship cements him, and what he did to win the championship cements him. Where it's going to be hard to argue with what you just said because when it's close, what are those small things that separate a person? To me, what he did in that finals run, the 40, not even just the shot, the multiple 40 plus point games to get to the game 7 in the comeback, bro. He was smoking them. He was doing them dirty. I will say, I wish that Kyrie Irving stayed that guy. Yeah. Like, mentally, how he moved. I'm tired of this nasty fro he be walking around with, but that's just personal. You know, like, this dude.
Hey, why do we always gotta attack these niggas' heads, man? Pause.
I don't know, bro. I just don't like it, bro. Hey, man, cut the hair, bro. You be looking, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Anyway. For me, that's where I'm at. But, you know, I ain't gonna lie. Say what you want. James Harden is probably the one dude I cannot remove from that list. I know that sounds wild.
Wow.
I know that sounds wild.
I get James.
It's not that I'm... No. Here's the thing, though. I'm not even the biggest James fan, so hear me when I say this.
Right.
James Harden's Houston Rockets run might have been one of the most special runs that we've seen offensively from any player in the NBA. He was Jordan-esque offensively. Dog,
man, look, don't ever say that, dog. People. This nigga was averaging 15 points from the free throw line. That nigga ain't no Jordan-esque. Get that cat out of here, man. What are we talking, bro?
But listen. That's because listen. But here's the thing: are we gonna act like that's because James Harden wasn't unguardable during that time? They had to foul that nigga. He was going crazy,
bro. The way
James, I was in the building watching James Harden put up a cool 50.
Let me say this right quick, bro. It was how many refs are on the court during the NBA game? Is it 2 or 3? Is it a 2 or 3 of them? I think 3 of them.
Three refs in the NBA game.
During that run of the NBA of the Houston Rocket run with James Harden, they had 8 players on the floor all times because those 3 referees had on Houston jerseys with that whistle they was giving that boy, man. I kid you not. This nigga was getting stuff that was unruly, dog. It was the worst games to watch. Bro, I promise you, dog. No, he was doing some horrible stuff, bro.
Hold on, bro. Hold on. I'm not even a James. Listen, I'm not a James fan or a James apologist. I think the way James Harden acts is egregious and nasty work at best. It's egregious. It's terrible. However, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about James Harden, the player, regardless of how foolish he be sometimes. Getting traded from 3 different spots. Nobody can satisfy this cat. He always want to leave your building. It's just weird. However, his time in Houston, you can say what you want. I'm watching defenses trying to guard him against the Golden State Warriors. Multiple years. Right. He was smoking them. Their whole defense was trying to trap them. Bro, there's one play where it's Draymond Green and Andre Iguodala stepping on his foot as he shoots a 3, and he still splashed it on these cats' paws for an and one. Like, dog.
Yo, that's crazy. Splashed on these cats is crazy. That's crazy. Ooh, thank God for the pause saving, boy. Woo, that's crazy right there, dog.
Thank God for the pause. Thank God for the pause.
That's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. I knew to put it right there. The pause. Yeah. But listen, I'm just saying, dog. Like we have to take because of revisionist history, sometimes we can change what we see. And we can't act like James wasn't smoking the league for 6 or 7 years. That's a fact.
Let me say this, Doc.
We couldn't stop him.
James was smoking the league for 5, 6, 7 years, all regular season. Came to the postseason, that nigga went from 1-3 to nothing on the back of his jersey. That nigga just was ghost. That nigga would be 35, 36 in the regular season. Come playoff time, he forget who he is, man. He was
fact.
bro.
That's true.
And see, it's always when it come down to when things matter most. We don't discount the regular season, but so much is on when things matter the most, being the playoffs, being the finals, being in clutch positions, where he tends to just disappear, bro. And I hold a lot of stock in that personally. And I think unconsciously most of us do, because we always looking at who got the rings, who showed up at this moment, who showed up when things was on the line and you had to do such and such. That's why Brian, bro, a huge knock is when he goes to that free throw line and can't knock down a regular shot. Like, a lot of distaste for Brian is off of simply the free throw line. I kid you not. If you talk to most people, bro, and say the problem they got with Brian is that he can't hit a free throw. And a lot of times it was early on, his mentality wasn't killer-like at all. Those are probably two of the biggest things that we always had disdain and a distaste for when it came to Brian. And a lot of times with Harden, bro, you know, this guy, you know, he never maturated into what Brian did over time, where he learned how to win, learned how to show up in big moments. And Brian can also get on that other side of the court and play defense. Harden doesn't participate in that at all.
Can we at least admit this though, word?
What's that?
That Harden's peak, everybody besides Dame Lillard, because Dame Lillard has had a level of consistent, sustained success that I think even Kyrie hasn't had, even if you want to argue Kyrie's the better player. Yeah. Like, Damian Lillard's consistency of being at peak form has been longer than everybody that we just named, including Kyrie, Russ, and Harden. But can we say this though? If we're talking about peak, like who they are at their peak and what they've shown at their peak, Harden might have the highest peak of all of them when he's at his absolute best. When we watch the Harden who was unstoppable.
You almost ripped out of the shirt when you said that best, boy.
Bro, like that cat Harden, bro, when he's at his peak, when he is in that Jordan-like regular season mode,
right?
I don't know if any of those dudes measure up to what he was when his step back was on premium. When he can go left dribble, right dribble, hop step, side step, left hand, right hand.
I don't know, man.
He was doing stuff. The entire league began to copy his offensive package. Everybody started sidestepping left, sidestepping right, hop stepping left, hop stepping right. Everybody.
He's definitely in that conversation between, you know, the four guys we talking about: Dame, Irv, Russ, Harden. He's one of, if he's not the one, he's the two. If he's not the two, he's the one. But I would honestly have to lean towards a Russie, bro. Like Russie, bro, because we talking about just peak. So I'm really just taking one season. The triple-double, the 30-point triple-double Russ was insanity, bro. It was something we've never seen on television in probably at all. Whenever Oscar was doing it, I wasn't around, so I don't know who's seen it. Right. But as far as, bro, that season, bro, it was, and he wasn't just getting like 30, 10. This nigga was sometimes getting 20, 20, 20. He was sometimes getting 50, 15, and 12. It was ridiculous. Now, your boy Harden started getting in that bag, too. Like, that was the year I think Russ won MVP, and following that, Harden won it. So I was thinking 16 to 17. They won those years back to back. But bro, to actually average that, bro, like 32, 10, and 10, and he was going off the Richter scale with how he was throwing them numbers together, put his teams in the playoffs. Like, I gotta lean towards that. Now, I don't know if that's super indicative of actually peak as far as talent and skill set, but as far as like peak, as far as like career and what it actually resulted in number wise, I may have to lean towards that. You know what I'm saying? Like, because if we talking about just skill and talent, bro, I still would have to fall back to a Irv. Like, as far as like,
I agree.
it's got to be a mixture of some of talent, skill, and also actually production and what was produced number wise in like that season. So I mean, it'd have to be something like a combination of combinations. Like, come on, man. Anytime niggas say combination, I gotta do it, dog. But look, hey, that's a good one, dog. We just spent a whole 20 minutes on this nigga Harden, and he got another segment down lower in his show, bro. Let's get to this
hilarious.
next stuff, dog.
Let's keep it moving. Let's get it, dog. Let's go.
Hey, man, another big time move happened over the offseason, man. I think a lot of people kind of suspected this one as soon as he got up out of Portland or got up out of Milwaukee. We kind of knew he was going to get moved somewhere else. And who we talking about is Drew Holiday to the Celtics. What a lot of people would say is the best. A lot of people would say is the best two-way backcourt guard in the league. The way that Brad Stevens described it is one of those players that if we can get him at any rate, we're going to get him. You know what I mean? Like, and I think, man, if we take let's just give honor to the top 5 PGs in the league, the rest of the teams in the NBA probably would start Drew Holiday as their PG. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's that type of magnitude of a player to where if he's actually has a chance at getting got, your team is going to be looking to get him. You know what I'm saying? So, what was we going to give it to you first. We know you are Boston fans, my G. You guys landed this guy. What's your immediate thoughts? You can even speak into what does this mean for the Boston now that you guys have them with a really new assembled team. I mean, you guys gave up a lot, not just in this trade, but since the whole offseason started. What you feeling like, though, my G?
Listen, man, my answer is very simple. Go ahead and give us this ring this year, man. Let us hang another banner in the Garden, man. I think it's coming. I think it's coming. The main reason why I say that is because, at the end of the day, and I think it's a perfect segment to move on to because we talked about Damian Lillard and his impact in Milwaukee, and all of that is true. But historically, and I'm calling on you as a quasi basketball historian yourself, especially in recent years, who was the last person to make Damian Lillard look average in the playoffs?
Drew Holiday.
Absolutely. And we have this kryptonite in the Boston Celtics. So my thing is like this, man. Like, a lot of people had a lot to say when we lost Marcus Smart in that trade for Porzingis. I personally thought we got better even when we didn't have a replacement for Marcus Smart because I watched what Derek White did in the playoffs last year against Miami. When Tatum was hurt, when Jaylen Brown was taking ill-advised shots, Derek White told both of them dudes, hey, move out the way. I'm going to pick up the slack. I got y'all. And he showed up. In 6 or 7 games, Derek White might have been one of the best players on the floor. In one or two of those games, whenever Tatum was trying to get it together for a couple of halves or whatever, he might have been the best player in a Celtics uniform. Yeah. So with that being the case, I was like, we're going to be all right, especially if we have to start Derek White. So, for me, I like the Porzingis trade because of what it did to the diversity of our offense and the fact people forget that Porzingis always is one of the top leaders in blocks. So I was cool then. But now, the Dame trade happens, Drew goes to the Blazers, and we find ourselves in a situation where we're talking about him being moved to a contender. Could it be New York? Could it be Miami? Yeah. And I said, nah, I'm here. The Celtics are already ready to go. And they were. So when we picked them up, I said, now the clear advantage that Milwaukee would have had, they no longer have because we lose Marcus Smart, the Defensive Player of the Year, but we get arguably the best perimeter defender in the league more consistently than Marcus Smart. On top of the fact that we have Porzingis, that we didn't lose Derek White, that we have Jaylen Brown, that we have Jason Tatum, that we have Peyton Pritchard. Like, we got enough. Al Horford, I haven't even mentioned him yet. So we got enough to go 8 deep before we even get to the All-Star break, but we're probably going to add a couple of more free agents so that we can go 10 deep in the playoffs. So I think we're perfectly fine. I think we're in prized position. And again, we have the one dude who Damian Lillard doesn't want to see on the other side of the court when he's walking the ball down. And to me, that means everything because in a tight series where you only got a little bit of room for error, who's going to be able to stop one of the stars? And I think we have a defender who can say, I got Damian Lillard. Y'all move out the way. Let me go lock him up and actually be able to do it. Yeah. So for me, bro, like I think it puts us in prime championship position. It makes us the favorite in the East, slightly ahead of Milwaukee. That's what I think the Drew trade did, and that's why I'm excited about how it looks.
I feel that, my G. Yeah, man. Dame said in the press conference, I don't know how they got to him talking about it, but he was like he gave Drew his flowers. Like he was saying he's the best point guard on that other side of the ball. You know what I'm saying? On the defense side of the ball that he was speaking of. And that, like you said, man, that means a lot, man. And I know whenever that trade went down, Boston had to have these type of thoughts in mind. Who are we going to get that is going? And honestly, I think Derek Wright is even formidable to even go out and guard somebody like a Dame. But mentally, Drew may do something different to Dame, being that Dame is already aware that this guy's given me problems before. You know what I'm saying? And most of the times, that's a lot of how you win the battle is if you can get in somebody's head, despite what the athleticism even looks like on the court. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
Nah, man, that was big, man. I definitely feel like this makes you guys, to me, the favorites in the league. Prior to the Dame trade, I had y'all the favorites in the league, East or West. Once they got Dame into Milwaukee, I shifted that favoritism to Milwaukee. But once y'all got Drew back, I was like, yeah, now it's a two-man race basically in the East. Like it's Boston, Milwaukee, and then everybody else. Miami is really the biggest losers in all of this, right? They didn't get Dame. They lost Gabe Vincent. They lost Strus. And then their opponents and the people that's the contenders only got better. You know what I mean? Like only got better. So yeah, man. I think this is gonna definitely put the pressure on this unit in Boston for sure. Like this unit has to get it done. Like this, like you already made it, so it's not. They're not gonna be pleased if you just make it. You know, you gotta win it. You know what I mean? You gotta win it. Like however you gotta get it. If it's in a game 7, I think like let's just entertain who comes out the West. I think my Lakers actually got a great chance to come. We y'all wouldn't want to see us though. Like y'all really wouldn't want to see us because it would be very difficult to handle our size and I think even veteranship that we possess. And I think that's where y'all gonna be lacking at, being that y'all gave up a lot of the dogness, the height in the bigs over there in Boston. But you guys are still big in the middle. Pause. Because your two wings, are already going to be towering over mostly whoever guard them. They're either going to be like too short or too big and too slow. When you look at Tatum and Brown. So I think that's going to be already a tough thing. But as far as Porzingis, yeah, what is he, 7'3", 7'2", something like that? He pretty light in the shorts. Pause. As far as like if he pretty light. He pretty light if you put somebody body on him like if you get an aggressive AD or you already get a Giannis who plays like he's a madman anyway, those guys are going to be challenging him to have to really, man up and kind of throw his body around and be willing to bang with them boys down there because it ain't going to be a cakewalk. And Al Horford, he is somebody that historically has given Giannis problems.
Everybody.
I'm just thinking of the guys in y'all way. Go ahead. What you got?
Behind Al Horford, bro. Cats be like, oh, Al ain't no problem. And then some of the best forwards go against Al in those big moments. Yeah. And Al be holding his own. They don't just abuse Al Horford.
Nah, they don't.
Giannis doesn't just abuse Al Horford. Giannis shot his worst percentage in the playoffs against predominantly Al Horford guarding him when Robert Williams was out in that series. Yeah. So, like, we can't act like, Al Horford is old and just be getting abused. And not to say that AD, won't go to work on Al Horford. We understand who AD is. Al Horford's not, the best defender in the world. But what I'm saying is, AD ain't just gonna abuse this cat. Like it's gonna be like, man, it's tough for AD to kind of get a shot a little bit, and he gonna have to work. So like my thing is like, yeah, it would be a tough series, but to be honest, the Lakers got Denver problems, in my opinion. And honestly, the league, not just the Lakers, let me not even make it a Lakers issue. The league has Jokic problems. That dude doesn't touch a basketball in the summer. He's eating hamburgers and hoagies. He's drinking with his buddies, bro. And then he comes in the league and averages 20 and 20, and you're like, what do you do with this dude? So,
hold on. Let's use a different type of pause. Look. Yes, he's a walking, whatever you want to say he is. He's going to get his numbers. But prior to this year, I think it's only a little bit more gassy-like, pause, because this dude has won a chip. He's been doing that, and that nigga sometimes went out in the first round of the playoffs. I'm not too confident that they just walk right back into the Western Conference Finals and just throws them back in the finals. I'm not saying that's going to happen this year with those guys. They lost some pieces over there.
You forgetting something, though.
What's that?
His years of losing in the playoffs, if we're being honest, and I got to be fair, I'm just being objective. Because I'm not a huge Jokic fan. You know how I feel. I feel like Jokic took an MVP from Embiid a couple years ago. So right. you know I'm not just caping for Jokic, but I got to be honest. Jokic has never had a healthy squad until this year. He also didn't take that same healthy big three he potentially could have had in Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray and add in Aaron Gordon, who was instrumental in their championship. He also didn't have KCP, who was playing for the Lakers at the time, who literally, since arriving in Denver, has turned into a version of Klay Thompson or something with the way he's shooting the three ball. So, bro, you have to understand, Denver has all of those key pieces back, including Bruce Brown, somebody I think is severely underrated as a role player.
They lost Bruce Brown, just what he does.
Who did they lose Bruce Brown to? Oh, Indiana. My bad.
Yeah, he's out of there.
My bad.
That's the piece I was talking about. They lost that they really needed.
But even still, I feel like he didn't have a healthy squad with a lot of those pieces prior to the championship year. And I'll say this: they have enough of the same stuff to be very, very dangerous. Even still, I think the West still goes through Denver until someone proves otherwise. Because Jokic's level of confidence against the NBA is at an all-time high. Jamal Murray began to look like bubble Jamal Murray as the playoffs continue to arise, and now everybody knows their roles, and so it gets really scary if everybody stays healthy again. Because how do you stop these dudes? Because that was the first year we seen them healthy, and they go all the way to the championship, and they don't just go to the championship. They're sweeping teams or 5-game series.
They swept my Lakers, but bro, I love when who brought it up? Somebody on ESPN. They swept us 4 games, but it was like the toughest 4 games they ever won. Like every game came down to single digits, fourth quarter heavy, really intense situations to where either team almost could have won either game out of all the 4. And that's one thing I have to feel confident about. They swept us, but it wasn't just no get us up out of here. It was a hard 4 that they had to win every game. And we only, I would say, bro, the Lakers definitely won the offseason. We only got younger. We got bigger. We got a motivated AD talking about he has the calendar dates circled with Denver on it because he's ready to play them. We still got an aging LeBron that looks like he's still that guy, right? It's something about Bron, man. I just love talking about Bron. It's something about him, no doubt. But we still got Bron. Austin Reeves looks better than ever. He dang near was the second best player on the Team USA.
Love Austin Reeves.
I think D'Lo comes back and redeems his playoff struggles. And we add Gabe Vincent as a key add. I love him. He's a guy that's going to come in and say, look out, I can give you 13.
Guard. He'll be the starting guard by week 3. He'll be the starting guard.
Come on, man. I ain't going to say that. Bro, if we had... So you think we would start... Because right now, our lineup is pretty unsure. I think Darvin Ham said that last spot is pretty much up for grabs because I think the 4 solidified thus far is going to be... D'Lo, Bron, AD, AR, and that last slot is going to either be Jackson Hayes, Vanderbilt, and then
Rui.
They was thinking about Rui. I love Rui coming off the bench, though. I don't want Rui to be in our starting lineup. He's one of our best players. Don't get me wrong, but I love him. His lift off the bench is crazy. So I'd rather have him coming off the bench for sure. But yeah, no, I'm pretty confident in us, man. We totally got up out of that Drew conversation. We gonna move straight to we gonna move straight to the NBA season, bro. Just start to talk about some of our expectations for the season in the league that's gonna be coming this season for sure. But man, the Lakers for sure though, dog. I think definitely you could book us at minimum Western Conference Finals for sure.
Book y'all for the Western Conference Finals?
Oh yeah, like I ain't even, bro. In being that we're healthy, bro. You give us because look, ever since last year at the All-Star trade deadline, when we made those additions, we were probably the best team from that point on. Playing wise and record wise. We was the best team at that. What's going on over there, man? What's actually going on? That's just bugging down, man. Nah, man, look, I'm telling you, bro. Because at that point, we was the best team from that point on. Even us making it the Western Conference Finals last year, we didn't supposed to. We had no business making the Western Conference Finals, bro. So you give us that plus the offseason additions, and now that we're back better, cats are healthy, I definitely have us going to the Western Conference Finals, bro. When I look at the teams that we have to get through, Suns, I'm super unsure. On paper, they look like they're going to be averaging 150 points a game, but I don't know how much that ball is going to get around between three ball-dominant type of guys. I'm unsure what it looks like over there, and I trust it because they have a trusted winning formula, but you throw Chris Paul in the mix of the Golden State Warriors, you have to figure that out, right? I think we have less things to figure out than other teams in the West have to figure out. As far as these other contenders outside of Denver. Suns have to figure that out. Golden State has to figure that out. The LA Clippers will never figure that out. The LA Clippers almost need to give my city that team. You hear me, dog? Like, they curse, bro.
Hey, wait. Before you go there, though, and I want you to continue, I would just say, the LA Clippers' only problem, though, has been health. Because, let me remind you, they were in the Western Conference Finals 2 years ago. And the reason why they didn't advance is because of health. I think they have figured it out. They just can't stay healthy enough for what they figured out to come to fruition. And that's a totally different animal. I don't think they're in disarray as a team. I think they're in disarray because none of their players stay healthy long enough for them to show how good they actually are. That's completely different than them not figuring out, in my opinion. But that's completely different.
The reason why, and we could tie these topics together because we was talking about we was gonna have James Harden come back into it. But if they talking about adding James Harden to that, then you only adding fire to fire, and it's gonna blow up, bro. It's gonna blow. It's proven wherever he goes, only destruction follows. Like it's literally that's what it is, bro. Like he leaves Houston. He goes to Houston. They have a great season as far as regular seasons, and they always fall and come apart in the playoffs. He goes to Brooklyn. What happens there, right? That thing explodes. He's in Philly now, and he's in China.
Not Philly, though.
What you mean?
Philly. What I'm saying is,
it's a mess right now, bro.
Enough. Philly wasn't good. Well, they're a mess now because he wants to leave. But his arrival to Philly elevated them. I feel like they were 2 quarters away because they weren't competitive in that second half against Boston. But they were 2 quarters away from being in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. I don't think that he made them worse. I thought that he provided a level of boost for Joel Embiid to win the MVP with the way that they were playing off of each other, and then his game 1 against the Celtics in the Eastern Conference semis. And holding the fort down until Joel made it back into the lineup.
That nigga,
I didn't have a huge problem with what he did last year. They weren't good enough. Philly wasn't good enough.
Well, here's the thing. It always comes down a lot to him though, because what he have 13? He was like bro. He shot something horrible in that game 7. Like, bro, he was demonstrous, bro. Like, he was literally like otherworldly, ridiculously poorly playing out there, dog. Like, and what I mean by that is, and sure, like they got to a game 7 with Boston. You said they was 2 quarters away from going to the Eastern Conference Finals. But if you just stand back and look at the big picture, Sixers still have never went past the second round.
The semis. Yeah,
you know what I mean? The second round. Yeah. You know, I would say with Butler, when Kawhi hits the bounce shot, that's the closest they've been. They were only a shot away from going, right? Possibly.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy Butler was the best thing that happened to Philly. I think you run that back, you keep him over Tobias, you add Maxey, he ascends where he is now. It's a different story that's told when that happens. But you know what I mean? And now, now we're in the place where he's trying to get out of there. And I guess possibly go to the Clippers. You know, and I think that's only destruction waiting to happen there as well, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you do? What are you going to do between him, Russ, right? What do they play like? And then you got Kawhi.
Who already got problems. Him and Russ kind of, people ain't talking enough about that. Him and Russ have problems because Russ is not a fan of James Harden's work ethic. In his attitude.
I love that. See, I like information out there to be out there like that. Russ is not a fan of Harden work ethic. Pretty much anybody that knows what hard work produces would have that type of problem with a Harden, right? He's a type of cat. He's a type of cat, bro, where he can roll out of bed and probably give you 30 in a sleeve of cookies and be falling out his. Okay, man. See, he can do that, but that doesn't give you the right to neglect hard work. In being that you in a leader position of a team, you got to lead by example, fam. You know what I'm saying? Like, this dude can't be up in the club with baby at 3 a.m. and got to go to practice at 7 the next day and expecting cats on the team to be given the respect as if he doing things differently and taking his job more serious. He ain't doing that. And I ain't saying that you got to do that, but if you have to, if you ain't nobody with chips. You know what I'm saying? Like, niggas like Dennis Rodman to be up in Vegas and then be in the finals the next day and getting chips. This nigga ain't sniffed the ring and he ain't got that type of resume to be able to pull those type of moves. You got to win before you can just do what you want. He can't do that. Right?
Let me ask you this. 2 things. Let me respond to your Lakers point first. I'm going to say this. On paper, the deepest team in the Western Conference is the Phoenix Suns. Them dudes can play 12 deep. I've never seen a roster like that. I was looking at their roster the other day, bro. Bobo, Nurkic at center. Eric Gordon, Grayson Allen, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker. Then they got Damian Lee is still over there. Then they got
they have no point guard. Who's the playmaker over there?
Oh, I mean, between Brad Beal and Devin Booker, they've been the playmakers for all of their roster. No, literally. No. Devin Booker played point guard literally last year because Chris Paul was out half the year. I think he can fully take it over if he wants to. 100%. And be great at the role. Be great.
Devin Booker and Bradley Beal are literally the same player. You could just pick who you want. They both gonna give you 30 every given night. They both can hit inside or outside. They're not facilitators by nature. They haven't grown their games to be that way. And Kevin Durant, it's no leaders over there. There's not a leader on that floor. The best players are just the best player. They don't even have somebody like a Draymond over there from the back that would come in and be like, yo, I'm going to lead y'all. And they don't got that. I see a lot of players over there that can get buckets, but they don't have, what I mean by, why I say the Lakers is the deepest is because we have all the right components in each area that it's needed in, right? You have leaders, you have bigs and sizes, and you got a bench, and you got a second year team playing together with chemistry that's brewing to only produce a whole lot of contention for contending for a final. You know what I mean? Like, this team, when you look at the Suns, I think have a lot of players that can just go out there and play, get buckets, but they don't have the components that is the formula to winning a finals. Where's the defense going to come from over there?
Well, I just told you.
Nurkic?
Bobo is a defensive stopper.
Bobo has been he's been more famous for stuff he's doing outside the league than what has he actually done in the league?
So I understand that Gilbert Arenas' viral video is going around calling him a waste of potential because he's supposed to be a superstar and he's a role player. But my thing is this. Let me tell you something about Bobo. People didn't pay attention to what and you're not, because who watches Orlando Magic games? Nobody. Nobody watches Orlando Magic games. Even people in Orlando don't watch Orlando Magic games until their favorite player comes to the city.
They watch it
because I lived over there. Right. So, but what we not going to do is have amnesia. Bobo in Orlando, what he did last year, showed that Gilbert was right in his critique, but also that Gilbert was right in his critique. The idea is Bobo has the potential to be a superstar, and when you watched him play last year, in the minutes he got, he was explosive on both ends of the floor. So when you're talking about defense, right. I think Bobo stops a lot of centers defensively because he's athletic, he's wiry, and dude was doing his number. He could have won. He could have been in the running for most improved, given what he provided in Denver versus what he provided in Orlando. He could have absolutely been in the running with his numbers and everything else. And so I think Phoenix having him next to a Kevin Durant, next to a Devin Booker, next to a Bradley Beal, Josh Okogie is a very good hustle man and defender on the perimeter.
Yeah, 3D guy.
3-and-D guy who will take the assignment. So I do think they have enough defense over there. I think with Kevin Durant's championship DNA, no, he's not the perfect leader, but I do think that he understands how to win. I do think that he understands how to win. If we're talking about Devin Booker, first of all, I thought it was blasphemous to even compare him to Bradley Beal. Devin Booker is at a completely different level than Bradley Beal. On top of the fact that Devin Booker was the best player individually in the playoffs last year. I don't know how I would forget that. Devin Booker was doing stuff in the playoffs last year that solidified his spot with Gorillas. And he don't rock with Gorillas. I'm telling you. So I've never even seen Bradley Beal do that to be compared with Devin Booker and what he's provided in the playoffs and on the biggest stages. On top of the fact that Devin Booker is fearless. Fearless. If I'm going
Brad is cut the same way. He just hasn't been on a team where he's been in contention for finals. Brad in those same spaces, bro. He'll give you the same thing. I promise you, bro. We'll see what they look like together. It's going to be Phoenix. It's going to be Book's team, but I promise you, bro, Book is going to feel great knowing he can kick it to a guy like him, bro, because he can give you the exact same thing.
I want to say this. I'm not crapping on Brad. I'm just saying, and it's kind of like what you said about Booker before that finals run. Listen, Kenny, because remember, you were telling me in the chat, you said, Kenny, you telling me this dude's a dog. You telling me he's fearless. You telling me he can go out and get 40. He got to do it on the biggest stage. And we watched in that month and a half after those comments were made that he did it on the biggest stage and continues to do it, especially last year when I personally felt like individual performance-wise, and a lot of people said the same thing, Devin Booker was the best player in the playoffs last year because he was killing folks. They didn't have enough in the playoffs because clearly, they got knocked off. But what I'm saying is, Devin Booker was not the reason. Every night, 40, 45, 46 here, 38 here, 39 here, and doing it off of 55% from the field and 40% from three and 90% from the free throw line. He was doing whatever he wanted out there. And my thing is, Brad may be that same animal, but it's just like you told me about Book. He's got to show me. He's got to show me. I've seen him do it in the regular season when the games don't count. I've seen him do it in Washington in a first round where they get bounced. But I need to see, hey, look, when it's Western Conference Finals on the line against the Lakers and y'all down 3-2 in a must-win in Phoenix, can you give me 35 to keep your season alive? I need to see that. And my thing is, Book can show me he can do that. I don't know about that. I don't know about that from Brad yet. He has the talent, but I don't know about that from Brad yet.
Yes, but I don't have a lot of man. It's so many things when any team led by Kevin Durant is your best player. I'm always gonna be suspect. The only reason why I worked in I'm trying to tell you, bro, the only reason why I worked in Golden State because it's such a well-polished oiled machine that already was operating. He just added 25 and whatever else he gets basically on top of what already exists there. I mean, and it was who you gonna guard? You gotta deal with either Stephen Curry or you gotta deal with Kevin Durant. I mean, somebody gonna be open all the time. So, I mean, you look at this squad over there though, this is not the same culture and type of system he's walking into, or he's already been there, but now that they add Brad, that exists there now. That I love the fact that my boy Brad is on a team that should be in contention for a finals, but I'm not too confident in how this actually gonna all come together. And if they come across our path, we definitely got their number. The Lakers got their number. The only team that I feel like is going to give us a run for our money in the West is going to be the Denver Nuggets, because I would say Jamal Murray and Jokic is probably top 2 duo in the league right now. I'm taking Dame and Giannis over them easy. I don't even got to see nothing. That's just how I feel. That's just how I feel. You know what I'm saying? But I still got to give honor in reference to Jamal and Jokic, because they did go out there and do their thing last year, and it wasn't just one-sided. Jamal Murray had times where he was the best player on the court and definitely had a lot to do with the winning that happened in the finals last year and the whole playoffs last year. So, I mean, we could do a run right quick, dog, of just like who we think gonna end up getting the chip, or just the matchup. It's hard to say who will win it, but finals matchup, MVP, and just expectations around the league as far as like guys that may be elevating. What do we expect Wemby to be just already arrived first year, stuff like that? What you got for us, Dad?
Yeah, I think it's a 3-team race in the West. I think those 3 teams are Denver, LA, and Phoenix. I don't think Golden State is going to work well. So in the West, any of those teams can make the finals. In the East, I believe that it's a 2-team race between the Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks, with Miami potentially being a dark horse, because somehow, some way, they get a dude who plays basketball in the hood of St. Louis, who they pick up from the G League, who eventually is like a key contributor to an NBA team, and he's the missing piece that they needed to make it all the way to the finals somehow. Miami finds prospects I've never even seen before, so they're a dark horse, but I don't expect them to be in the running. So I feel like that about finals matchups. You can mix and match any of those 3 teams on each side to be a finals matchup. So I don't know who's going to win. I think the 2 imminent favorites from both sides of the conference are Denver and Boston, just to give you that. Wemby, I think Wemby is going to have a very quiet year. Here's what I mean by that. I think that he'll be developed slowly, because Greg Popovich understands what it's like to have a Tim Duncan in his fold. Mm-hmm. He understands what it's like to have a Kawhi Leonard in his fold. He understands what it's like to have a DeJounte Murray in his fold. If you don't realize what I'm doing, I'm giving you all the players he's personally developed into who they are today, who are all stars. Mm-hmm. Tony Parker, Ginobili. Like he has a very systematic formula to make you the best you can be for the rest of your career. Yeah. And so he's not going to throw Wemby in too many places where he won't be successful, but they'll be strategic. He's not going to try to make him what LeBron was his first year. Mm-hmm. He's not going to try to put the weight of the world of that team on him his first year. So I can see Wemby averaging something like 16-8. Modest 16-8. A block and a half to 2 blocks per game his rookie season. Being in contention for Rookie of the Year between him and Scoot Henderson. That's what I can see. I think it's a prove it year. It's a prove it year for the Memphis Grizzlies as to whether or not they keep that core together. I think it's an even bigger prove it year for Zion, Brandon Ingram, and that team in New Orleans, who in January last year was the #1 seed in the West, and then everybody got injured besides CJ McCollum. And they didn't even make the play-in game. Right. We need to see if that lineup actually works. We need to see if Zion can play more than 30 games in a season. If they don't, disband that roster too. So big time proven years. That's the things I'm looking out for. At most improved player of the year, you'll love this. Austin Reeves is going to have a borderline all-star season for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Hold on. You may be getting a little too crazy with that.
No.
Borderline. The borderline word is key. We got to see what that looks like, man.
Not at all. Let me tell you, Austin Reeves and what he showed next to young stars in the league like Anthony Edwards and things of that nature. Right. Oftentimes, I was looking at their roster and seeing him as he had Mikal Bridges next to him, and a dude I think is going to absolutely be an all-star this year. And I thought he was better than him this summer. That only grew his confidence. AR already thinks he's the second option for Los Angeles, given how they used him in the playoffs. So his confidence is only going to grow, and I think he'll be somebody who gets all-star votes, and he'll be well deserved. He may not make the team. It's too deep in the West, but what I'm saying is he'll have that level of like, this dude should win most improved. He's going to be tough this year, so that's what I'm looking out for.
MVP?
Yeah, MVP, I think Giannis got to be the favorite right now, considering the fact that these would be the easiest buckets he'll ever get in his career with Damian Lillard on the outside. The lane's going to be wide open for Giannis, so Giannis is my front runner. But I'm going to throw a dark horse out there because there's one team in the West that everyone is forgetting, and I want to give this dude major love, and I want to say something a little blasphemous, but I don't care.
Here we go. Watch how madness this finna be.
Absolutely, it's going to be madness. The one dude who can be who will be a most improved / MVP candidate, and his team will be a top 6 team in the Western Conference this year. The Oklahoma City Thunder's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will be that guy.
Okay, here we go, man. Oh God, I'm not.
Hey.
Is that it? Because I'm not finna say nothing to that mess.
SGA, boy, he's gonna shock the world, bro. As long as he stays healthy, which he will, he's always been healthy. Shai Gilgeous is going to go crazy this year in a manner that's going to shock a lot of people. And if he makes OKC top 6, then you have your coach of the year over there because they went from nothing to top 6, right. and you potentially have somebody who will be in the MVP running this year in SGA. Those are my picks, man. That's what I got.
Okay, my G. NBA favorites or NBA final matchup predictions. I'm going to go with Boston. That's a tough one, ain't it? It's definitely gonna come down to Boston and Milwaukee in the Eastern Conference Finals, right? In the East, right. In the West, I'm gonna go with LA. I can see LA and the Suns for sure. So I want to say it'd be. I don't know, bro. It's tough. I may have to go with Boston and LA just for the historic rivalry. You know what I'm saying?
I would love that.
The chances that we get that is slim, but I mean, what it would do for the industry, entertainment, I mean, it'll be second to none, man. Probably one of the most watched of all time for sure. MVP, I'm going to side with what you said. Giannis definitely has to be the favorite right now. He seems more motivated than ever. He's definitely not pleased with just being somebody that has great seasons without ending up with a chip at the end of that. So I think he's going to play like that. And like you said, Dame is going to give this guy, looks that he never even dreamed of. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be, both of them going to give each other that. But for him, being that it's his team, I see him leading that pack. If I got to throw anybody in there that may be, honorable mentions or in contention, I would love somebody like an AD to actually, own the Lakers and put his name in that race. I think he has a game that's suitable to win awards easily. I mean, he's a little bit more polished than Giannis around the edges. And he plays both sides of the ball like that as well. And if his jumper come back, I think he really gives himself a good chance to be in those type of races. I think this is something I've been thinking about for a minute. I think, bro, I looked at Memphis, bro. I think they're going to be a dark horses for us being a contender, bro. I feel like they can uphold a great record until Ja comes back. And as long as he comes back with his head screwed on right, I can see them guys make him. I love what they got over there, bro. You got Brandon Clark coming back. Steven Adams will be back. You got some dogs and some leaders like that's seen a lot of the just crazy matchups in the playoffs with Marcus Smart, Derrick Rose. You got Ja that's been had dog fights. He should come back motivated. And you still got Desmond Bane, right? I mean, is old boy over there the backup point guard, or did he get up out of there?
He's out of there.
I knew he got out of there, man. If they kept him, they would have really been dangerous. But I feel like they got a lot of what you would need to make a deep run in the playoffs. And these guys have been battle tested. Like the guys that's been there with Memphis has been battle tested, and the guys that they added has been battle tested as well. So I would love to see something come from that. It's gonna be interesting to see teams like Kings run it back. I felt like they had a great run last year that no one really foreseen.
Sleeping on the Kings, bro. Sleeping on the Kings.
Yeah, I mean, I think people gonna sleep on them until they actually wake everybody up by winning something. That's what they gonna have to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, has the Kings ever won a ring, bro? I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Way back in the day. Way back in the day.
Had to be way back. But yeah, I think they can make some possible noise. I think that's it for the most part, my G. Like, it ain't too much. I think it's going to be an exciting season because I feel like, bro, with the moves that just recently happened, that made the league just that much more better. Phoenix, they made moves. LA won the offseason. It should be some great basketball this year for sure, dog. I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's going to be interesting to see what that NBA in-season tournament's going to be about. Not really sure what that's going to really dictate as far as like things further down the season. And then also these new rules. Just a whole bunch of new rules that came out. Brian being a player that qualifies to get rest, I guess, on the back-to-back games and things of that nature. So, whole lot moving, man. So, definitely looking forward to it. We got to get to some other stuff, though, G. You know what I'm saying? It's as live as it is in the NBA world. It's just as live as it is in the music world, specifically hip-hop. You know what I'm saying? The greatest artists of all time. Look at this. He looking like, hold up, the greatest artists of all time? What we talking about? But you know what we talking about, man. For the dogs, it dropped recently, dog. We definitely gonna play a couple tunes up off of this mug because he brought out some of the big noise. You know what I'm saying?
Big as the Super Bowl, but just usually send they verses back to me and they be terrible. Just
like a 2-year-old.
I love a dinner with some fine women.
What, bro? What is actually on Dot's mind when he hear this, bro? Like, what's actually going through his mind at this? Like, it's only me and Cole?
That's crazy.
Hey, this mug.
He was tripping with that line.
Let's get some coal in this mug.
I'm sucking my teeth. I'm letting it rock because I love the mystique. I still want to give me a song where I be. Can't really ironic because it ain't no follow from me.
Follow from me.
When he switched the flow up, though.
Fucking everybody breakfast and I'm about to. When I show up, it's motion picture blockbuster. The goat with the golden pen, the top toucher.
Hold up, bro. The boy is automatic when he's aiming them. Hey, dog, I ain't gonna care, bro. Cole is one of the greatest voices that I enjoy to hear rap, bro. Like, it is absolutely a pleasure every time he gets on the mic, bro, and he has to bless it in this type of manner, bro. Like, it's actually one of them ones where I'm like, bro, the moment his voice come on, I'm ready for him to get straight to it, and he don't waste time, bro. Some cats like to build up to, but he gets to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he gets to it, dog. How we feeling, dog? How we feeling, man?
First person shooter, personally. Now, we gonna talk about the record, but just first person shooter. Let me inform you guys, dog, that is the record I've been wanting to hear for like 10 years.
You've been having this on your request list for 50 years, huh?
For 50 years, dog. I heard in the morning. That's cool.
Right.
Jodeci's, listen, that was fire. Jodeci freestyle was crazy. But I always said, man, I would love to hear what happens when Cole has to come completely over to Drake's world and what that would sound like. Would he be able to still keep and bro?
Yeah. It
did not disappoint. On top of the fact, I made this point earlier in our personal group chat. I'm going to give it to the podcast as well. What's so amazing about Drake is his pinpoint accuracy. Here's what I mean. Do you know that this man said, I'm one away from Mike, so beat it? On the record, first person shooter, which then was announced that would most likely debut at number 1, tying him with Michael Jackson.
Yes, sir.
Right? So that means it's aiming for number 1. He took his shot on first person shooter and called out on the record that record will be number 1, tying him with Mike on the record that he's referencing as he's on it. That level of entendre / prophecy / whatever you want to call it is unheard of stuff. It's only can be deemed as something called Drake magic. And so I don't want to sound crazy, but this dude is on another level when he does stuff like that. It's insane. It's insane. So I want to first of all say that's my favorite record off the album. I'm glad that it's number one. I'm glad that it features Cole, who'll be getting his first number one as well, which is wild to me. That stat is wild to me. But
yeah, I feel like he should have already. Cole should have been had one of them joints. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So shout out to both of them gentlemen. So I'm gonna say this. I don't know what you've been seeing on your end. We can talk about the differences between my timeline and your timeline, but I have been seeing a lot of mixed emotions about this For All the Dogs album. I've been seeing people say mid. I've even seen some people say trash, and then I see the total polar opposite of like Drake delivered and did his absolute thing on this album. So it's really split between half and half in the middle of how people feel about it. But I'll say this. Drake's albums normally always age like wine. I remember when Views first came out, I was like, this nigga promoted Views for 4 years and gave us this. And now, you go back to Views? My God. Incredible.
Views and aged into a classic, bro. It's crazy.
It aged into a classic. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
but it's literally what happened.
Yeah.
So give Drake the same time For All the Dogs. And I'll tell you what the biggest problem that people have For All the Dogs is. The album starts off kind of slow. You get Virginia Beach. I believe after Virginia Beach you get Amen, which shout out to Tizo Touchdown and all of his contribution to the album. If he doesn't gain 1 million followers soon, I don't know what will. He showed out on this album, so he woke a lot of people up. Then you get Fear of Heights, and then you get what's the joint after that? The Shooter joint.
I got it right here. It's Virginia Beach, Amen, Calling For You, Fear of Heights, Daylight, First Person Shooter.
Got you. Calling For You was cool. It was creative, actually. Mm-hmm. But then I felt like personally, and I know some people feel differently, but personally, when 21 came in, I said, yes, this is the ignorant stuff I want. Because this made me sound like... It made me feel like Her Loss, which in my opinion is the best body of work Drake has put out in a long time. Her Loss was great to me, so it gave me that Her Loss feel when I heard 21. And then we get to the other records, but to me the album doesn't really like pick up. It starts picking up on Fear of Heights, but it doesn't really pick up until the First Person Shooter joint, and then it kind of like is undeniable from there. But here's the issue: it doesn't have, in my opinion, a clear single. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people who hear Drake's records and want to hear the Girls Want Girls or want to hear the joint with, want to hear the TSUs or whatever, the stuff that like, oh, this could easily play on the radio tomorrow. I hear it. It's got the formula. It's got all the aspects. This album doesn't necessarily have that. And I think that's why it's disappointing to people, because Drake has given them a formula for so long that they can count on, that when he doesn't give it to them, they don't know how to act.
Right.
And I think that's a lot of the critique of the album. People don't know where to place these songs, and so they call them mid at first. But if you keep listening, I think you'll realize, oh, wait a minute. he actually slow cooked this album for real. Yeah. And there's a lot of gems on here that we're gonna appreciate. And not only, it don't even gotta take a couple of months, a couple of days to a couple of weeks, I think our opinions will change off this album, especially as some of these joints just naturally become radio cuts, because that's who Drake is. Overall, this is his best body of work in my opinion since Scorpion. If we're talking about individual body of work and we exclude Her Loss, this is the best body of work since Scorpion. And I think that if he leaves us with this, and then he takes the break that I think he's going to take, that he kind of announced already, we'll eventually come to appreciate that he left us with this and didn't BS through these records. Yeah. So that's my review, bro. I think For All the Dogs delivered and will continue to deliver through the test of time. People will appreciate this album way more as time continues. That's my personal response.
I feel that, my G. So yeah, man, For All the Dogs. I'm trying to remember when was the first time he kind of hinted at this album coming. I want to say maybe I think it was over the summer, like middle of the summer, maybe. Yes, it was like middle of the summer, because I thought we was gonna get it like before his tour started, so he could have a new record on tour. But I forgot Her Loss was already out, and he ain't toured none of that stuff. So it eventually comes October 6th, right? We got 23 songs, an hour and 25 minutes. I didn't look at the duration before I press play, but I did count the amount of numbers, and I was like, 23 is a bit much. But that's pretty, if you rock with him and you familiar with his albums, he's pretty much always hovering around 20 plus. You know what I mean? Like, if you go back to, what's the other one? Certified Lover Boy, that's 21. That's his last studio album. And this one is 23. So I was like, but you know, it's Drizzy. I'm here for it regardless. I didn't have expectations as far as like what I wanted to hear, but I did have a take as far as like, cause I'm still high on Travis Scott Utopia. I felt like that was a great album, and I felt like it's been a while since Travis was even here. So let's like, I was willing to give him this slot until like somebody like Nicki Minaj is coming next month. Like somebody like that hasn't came in a minute. And I was like, all right, cool. If Drizzy not finna give something groundbreaking, don't come at all. Pause. But in hindsight, I always kind of bite my tongue on that stuff because it's like, by default, he makes the music I love the most anyway, which is kind of that OVO sound, trap soul, melodic rap. I love that more than anything. So by default, I'm automatically gonna eat it up anyway. So going into this album, the expectation wasn't too crazy. I just wanted him to deliver something that was gonna be representative and reflect what he said, which is old Drake. Which on this album, is it old Drake in a sense of Take Care, So Far Gone, Nothing Was the Same? I wouldn't. Those are literally probably the premium albums of his catalog, which is, you know, probably so hard to match that energy. You know, who knows if he ever can get back to that space, but he does reach into that space and bring back some of that magic on this album. I will say that when I think of songs like Members Only, you know, it felt like the end of Connect, or it felt like Further Sting on Nothing Was the Same. When I think of 8 a.m. in Charlotte, he continues to uphold one of the best rap series as far as like, you know, having multiple versions of a certain song. Like when you think of Kendrick's The Heart, I think he's up to part 4. This is in that realm where it's one of the best of those kinds for sure. 8 a.m. in Charlotte, I played this morning on the Saturday morning. I'm like, man, this mug feels so appropriate. You know what I mean? Like, it just feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he provides so much music for time and spaces of life. Like, he got a record for when you wake up. He got a record for when you pop out and you with the homies. He got a record for when you with the chicks. He got, you know what I mean? And of course, he got the records for the chicks. You know what I'm saying? And on this album, I feel like he provided a well-served offering for a lot of different audiences. And that's his specialty. He always does that. But I feel like it was still focused in on a certain sound of trying to channel that old Drake. You know what I mean? So some of my favorites off rip for sure was like Members Only, First Person Shooter. The setup for Fear of Heights was fatal, bro. I felt like it was foul. And he does this a lot where he gives us 30 to 45 seconds of just singing us and just harmonizing and just melodying us out. And it's like, we finna get one of them Drizzy R&B joints, and then all of a sudden, you heard us switching the beat and it just turned up by 10. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's exactly what Fear of Heights was. Like, I was sold on what was in the first 30 seconds. And next thing you know, that mug come out of nowhere. So that was amazing. Daylight coming after that, I thought was amazing. Shout out to KD. We was making fun of him because the nigga heard trashy, and niggas got certain ways we feel about him as a player. But he definitely did his thing when it came to AR in this project. If you don't know that, Kevin Durant was AR in this project. You know, this may be his second chapter profession. I wouldn't mind if he did more of that with Dreezy and just added him with OVO.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
He always rocking with them niggas
Kevin,
anyway.
dog.
Right. For sure, dog. Some of the standouts for sure. Tizo, one of the homies in our group chat, he been raving about him. He definitely had performances that made me want to go check out his catalog, which I will be doing. So shout out to him. I think Cole by a landslide probably had the best feature for sure. Bringing it back up that he probably will be getting his first #1. I think that's well deserved. Big ups to Drizzy and Cole getting that. Party Next Door only continues to prove that he has one of the best pens in all of music. Like,
Party, man.
I had to tweet earlier, Doug. I said the next duo tape that Drizzy, if he chooses to do, should be with Party Next Door, because they've only, for the most part, have given us nothing but heavenly music, bro. Like, when you think of Come and See Me, Recognize, you get this one. You know what I mean? The only thing I worry, because if you listen to Members Only, for 0.5 seconds, I thought it was about to turn island. And I was going to be hot if it was going to be another island record with them dudes, bro. Like, so I was so pleased that they did not give us no island shit, bro. And they stayed where they supposed to be, bro. Like, and I know if they do a duo tape, some of it's gonna be on there, which is expected, so that's cool. But if he does one, I would love if it's with Party Next Door, bro. They show amazing chemistry. A surprising appearance, bro. Chief Keef, I did not see it coming, bro. Yeah, I mean, we gotta give it up to Chief, bro. Like you said earlier, man, you wish he gave Chief a little bit more duration time on there, but what he came and did was well served. Drizzy, man. Drizzy for music and just production, it's special, bro. Like, I feel like if he was to go in that executive producer bag and A&R, like somebody like you said, if he was to get behind Cole Pause and executive produce an album for him, I feel like he may make the best version of Cole we would ever get, bro. Like, no kiss.
I'm trying to tell you.
Like, his ear, and let me, and I'm not all the way 100% on it. It's just his ear. But the collection of ears around him, 40, him, Chubbs, Oliver, all them cats that's be in the stew, and that's a part of the OVO squad that you will see on the credits, bro. It's a certain, that's when you know you got more than just music people in the studio. They know you from a certain space to say, yo, go with this instead of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's relationship there. You know what I'm saying? That isn't even about the music, but it enhances the music. You know what I'm saying? So, man, shout out to 40. 40 continues to be my favorite producer, probably of all time, because he's almost synonymous to my favorite artist of all time being Drizzy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I probably can sit back and listen to that stuff all day long with nothing even on it. You know what I'm saying? But then you put that on it, it's a match made in heaven, bro. So, man, all in all, bro, it's a couple other joints I love. Like, I love what he did on The Way From Home. I thought that was a really, like, insightful type of record with just talking about his timeline in music and just remembering certain moments that stand out and how cats viewed him then versus now, and how the exchange of, like, position and power changes based on where you are in the music industry. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was real. It was one of them records where I'm like, you know, he took his time with this one and, like, actually maybe sat down and wrote the bars to this mug, because I know most cats ain't sitting down writing nothing. But yeah, man, a lot of great music on this album, bro. When I was trying to see where I wanted to put, and you know, like you said, bro, you can't really get a gauge on this album in 24 hours or even sometimes in days. It's definitely going to age, or it's definitely going to take time to really get a gauge on how you feel about it. So I almost think it's alarming if it isn't mixed emotions when it comes to a Drake album, because he makes music for several different audiences. There's going to be some people that's going to feel like this is the best, and some people are going to feel like this is mid or this isn't it. I've seen that stuff too. So my timeline, it looks mixed too. It looks similar to what you're seeing. You got some people saying album of the year, his best album since such and such. But I think over time, you really get to get a better, accurate gauge of where this album actually sits. Immediately, I said it sits somewhere in the realm where Thank Me Later is, which is a great album squeezed between his classic albums, so it kind of loses a lot of its thunder. It's between So Far Gone and Take Care. It's hard. You know what I'm saying?
Don't ask me about Thank Me Later. I think Thank Me Later. Man,
you think Thank Me Later may be the. What you think? Look, what's your thoughts on Thank Me Later?
No. It's not the greatest. It's not the greatest because I think the three albums you named, Nothing Was the Same, So Far Gone, and Take Care are his magnum opus, if you will.
Yeah.
Number 4, Thank Me Later.
Really?
Number 4. Wow. Like,
I mean, that's not blasphemous. It's not blasphemous. I just think it's, like I said, it's in a space where it's just kind of is surrounding it makes it suffer a bit. You know what I mean? Like its surrounding projects make that one suffer a bit. It's the debut. It's a pivotal one for sure. If you was to ask me, I probably would take If You Read This Is Too Late over Thank Me Later. Because it was, I feel like we got introduced to there was like a different version of Drake we got introduced at that moment.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think there may be a pick'em though. There may be a pick'em, but
Listen, I'm not mad at that.
Them other 2 to 3
I'm not
records we
mad.
talking about is definitely right up there for sure. Like, but
Yeah,
now
I'm
all in
not
all,
mad at
man,
that at all.
all in all, for all the dogs, it's a pleasant listen, man. Right now, I got it as a good to great album. And his last studio album, which was CLB, I was in a totally different atmosphere, stratosphere with how I felt with my emotions with that album. But it's still the same process that happens with his albums, where day one it's something, and day two it gradually grows to something else. You know what I mean? Like and I think that's what music should be. Like, he's great at giving us hot pockets, right? Microwave music, chicken nuggets, eat it up, God's plan. It right when you hear it, you know it's Ear Candy and it's a single for the radio. On this album, like you said, there's not a lot of stuff that screams outside of the Sexy Red joint. I think that's going straight to the strip club. That one going straight to the strip club, and it's probably going to be on radio. And maybe this one he just put out with Yachty, the video. Outside of that, the bulk of the album, I feel, was slow cooked and was purposely made to make a better body of work rather than to be chasing hits. Which is, he don't need to do that stuff anyway, because regardless of what he puts out, something always ends up being a hit anyway. You know what I mean? Like, you could just go back. Go ahead. What you got?
I will say this though, in light of what you're saying, I do feel like if Drake does give us another project, if he doesn't feel like he's accomplished all of it, the next project we get should be no outside opinion. Should be no trying to keep up with the status quo with the Joneses. Mm-hmm. Should be no trying to get the ear or the pulse of whatever's hot. But should be, this is what I want to do, period.
Yeah.
Like, I could tell with a lot of his flows, with a lot of his voice inflections, with a lot of his melodic choices, he was getting the ear of the Yachties of the world, the Tizos of the world, people who were either up and coming or who are killing the game in the new space of young artists. Your artists who are 20 to 25 years old. Hey, Drizzy, try this. Or go here. Or do this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? Like, why don't you spin it like this? Or da-da-da-da. I could tell that they were in the booth with him or hearing the records and giving him critique that allowed him to begin to map out some of that. And that's cool. But the next Drizzy album, the thing that I'm going to be expecting is a level of, let me hear Drizzy at 35, 36 years old, because that's what he is now. Dre made a point in our group chat. Dre South, shout out to him, local rapper from Texas. He made a point to say, like, hey fam, like, you're 36 years old. I don't believe that you're on TSU's campus sleeping, sneaking in the dorm rooms and sleeping with 18-year-old women. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at 36. You may be in the club, you may be partying, that's cool, but I definitely think that slowed down a little bit. I don't believe you're just living the same life you were living at 20, 21 years old when stardom came and first found your way. So let me hear that growth, development, and even personal rap reflection in the album. Like what would a Drake album sound like, not trying to be popular at all? Not trying to make music for 7 bodies of people, but say, look, whatever I'm feeling at the time is what you're going to get regardless of whatever the status is. Because in my opinion, he's so big now that he actually doesn't need to do it. He's at the point where he's reached the pinnacle to where whatever he wants to make in his heart of hearts is what he can make and give us, and that will become the new trend in music because he's Drake. So for me, that's what I would like to hear next. And if not that, if he's not willing to go that far, then just give us a full-blown rap album. One or the other.
Yeah,
one or the other.
That's the one that's the one we got to put the rest. He's already given us a rap album. The side A of Scorpion is rap, bro. Straight up, it's a 2-disc album. He gives you that. The second side B is predominantly R&B. So it's a
That's
bit.
fair. That's fair.
And see, look, it's a bit. we have to start turning the mirror on ourselves, though, right? Like, one, we're asking of somebody to give us things that most of our favorite artists, if Drake isn't yours, hasn't given you. Like, being that he's given all the other things to us. Like, if we saying our favorite artist has given a request, like you said, I want to hear somebody at 35 talking about real life, da-da-da-da-da, but also would have done all the other stuff that Drizzy has given us. There's nobody that fits that description. Like, there's nobody.
I have one person. He actually is my former favorite artist.
No, who is this? No, what's
but I remember a stretch from 2004 to about 2009, maybe 2010, where an artist gave us all of those elements by the name of Kanye West.
No,
Let me tell you something right now.
He's not. See, you could. He has a certain limitation to where the line is drawn to where Drizzy extended it. I can have the conversation with you. That's actually a great candidate to put in that space. But one, he's never barred up in a way that Drizzy barred up religiously throughout the last 10 plus years. Ye is not that type of guy. The other thing is, when you look at the realm of music that Drizzy has brought to America, nobody has done, and this is what I mean by doing all that Drizzy has done, plus what you're asking of him. He wasn't bringing no island, dance hall, Afro beats to America. Ye has always been a blend of a lot of different genres in music, but he wasn't bringing that stuff to where you got the DeVitos of the world, the Wiz Kids, the Burna Boys, all these cats, but all these cats are popping from other realms of music and cultures, predominantly because somebody like Drake led the way. When you look at the Hotline Blings, when you look at the Controllers, when you look all this stuff, when you look at Honestly Nevermind, everybody started doing Jersey Club. Like, it's a difference with what Drizzy has done and brought to the States and what his influence on the music he's brought than what even Ye has done. Now, we have to paint the description of a difference there. We can't say it's actually the same. Now, that's what I mean by. Go ahead.
There's a difference.
He's a good guy to bring up in that conversation, but it's a bit more than what we're talking about when we're saying all that Drizzy has done.
Yeah, I think Drizzy has done more. So I think he's taken Kanye's blueprint and expanded it. Yes. It would be very similar to what Michael Jackson did with James Brown's blueprint. James Brown was doing a particular thing. He said, "Yeah, that's great. I'm going to take what you're doing, and I'm going to raise the bar to it and expand it in a level that you haven't considered." Yeah. And honestly, I'm very interested to see what would have happened with Kanye if he didn't experience the trials and tribulations and the mental instability.
You don't even know how to word this stuff.
Yeah,
you don't even know how to word the stuff that he experienced.
I don't, bro.
We just gotta go. We start talking the trials and tribulations. We start talking from the Bible when that mother come out.
Because he's
he
started going through stuff that I can't even explain.
Hey, let's just say when he started trying to find God, man, that's a good way to put it up.
Maybe, bro. Maybe that was it. But them first couple of albums, I feel like feel like he started tapping into a lot of what Drizzy, grabbed by the horns and then threw out. Yeah. But I think it was because Kanye was incapable at that time because of everything that he had endured, went through, and where his mental was at. Kanye just started losing it. So with that ain't Drake's fault. Drake just Drake said, "Hey, look, bro, you unable to do the job. I'm gonna go ahead and do it for you." No big deal.
Drizzy started contributing to the madness that was happening in Ye's mind. That's what happened. Right. He couldn't stand seeing this guy that, it should have been something that should have been a well-groomed relationship that we could have got probably a lot of great moments from between them, but something happened. Like, a lot of times I feel like, and honestly, it's a whole bunch of stuff documented that if you read between the lines of Drake, Ye interviews, he says it. As far as like how he felt about Drake coming along, being the guy that is now in the spotlight, doing everything that I once was doing, but better. Like if you go to some of the Breakfast Club interviews, like he basically saying that, dog. And honestly, it put a battery back into Ye's back to get back in the game and start making some music and trying to retain some of that, what he once had. You know what I'm saying? So, back to the conversation we was talking about, though, as far as like the requests, and that's what I gotta call them, because at this point they're requests. They're like not mandatory or demands that we should have of a Drake. because he's given too much for us to still be hanging things over his head to say he needs to do this. I'm cool because I still have I would like for him to do this, but if anybody's saying he needs, that's the word where we're in trouble in. He don't need to do anything. We can say
I think he needs to do.
Now, here it is. Here we go.
He needs to do one thing.
Oh God, what we
one
got?
Thing. He's given us almost everything.
Ooh, baby.
I don't think he's given us everything though. I think if we start saying that.
Is this something you feel like is a must that he needs to give us? What is this? Or is it just a request?
It's teetering on the line of must. I think so.
All right, let me hear what we got.
So I would say this. We haven't gotten to Drake. Drake has been so good at giving us enough to where we feel like we know him, but through further examination, we realize we don't. If you
go ahead, I'm gonna
hold on. No, just being honest. Think about those early, and that's why I say Kanye West, right? Because you're right. Drake has done more than Kanye as it pertains to the areas which you've thrown out, which is being able to take certain genres of music that would not even be popping and bringing them to a whole nother country, this, that, and third. But you know what Kanye has done that Drake hasn't?
What's that?
Records like All Falls Down.
That's not true.
Records like no. Records like Touch the Sky.
Yeah.
Those records where he's talking like one of my favorite verses from Kanye. Before anybody wanted K West beats, me and my girl split a bucket at KFC. And I was having nervous breakdowns like, man, these niggas that much better than me. Baby, I'm going on an airplane and I don't know if I'll be back again. Sure enough, I sent the plane ticket, but when she came to kick it, things became different. Every girl I cheated on, sheets I skeeted on, couldn't keep it at home, thought I needed a knee alone. I'm trying to right my wrongs, but it's funny, these same wrongs help me write this song. My nigga, I don't know. And here's the thing, that's light in comparison to what Kanye has given us in those first couple of albums. Mm-hmm. But it's to make the point that Kanye has shared a lot of himself in a very introspective, self-reflective way to where we wouldn't have gotten that just from the tablet. Drake, we know you've been with the stars. We know you've been hurt by women. We know your exes ain't this. We know you're flexing and got a bag.
That's why I don't know if y'all listen. I don't know if y'all listen.
I'm listening. Listen.
So when you think of let me give you so when you think of songs like Look at What You've Done on Take Care, what is that? Is that not what you just described around the type of stuff that Ye gives you? When you look at songs like You and the Six, what's that? You and the Six is on If You Read This It's Too Late.
You would argue You and the Six is that level of introspection? You would argue that?
As far as knowing him, insight on who Drake is, right? These are records that are literally telling family trials, upbringing, childhood, relationship, how he feels. Like, that's that. I don't know what it is that you want that is even more than that to where you feel like you would know him that Drizzy had, because it's in the same realm of the verses that you just spit from Ye. Especially Look at What You've Done. And here's one more thing. Let me say one more thing. I think because a lot of his content is dealing with heartbreak in like relationships. Right. We're saying that's not knowing him somehow. I don't know how that isn't. That's very vulnerable, transparent content. That's him. That's him. You can't discount that it's like, because I guess it's something that's outside of a relationship or heartbreak. We say that's different and then we want more than that. That's still him. I can't separate how Drake is dealing with his emotions, how heartbroken he may be in a relationship, and how it makes him feels in a toxic situation that he paints his music as saying that's not him. And honestly, let me say this. I think this is what I feel all the time is just preference. We're saying you prefer him to speak more on this, but that doesn't enhance the quality more so, because he has music talking about other topics that the quality, even if he was talking about that, would still be at the same level. It's like Wayne. They always said Wayne had a bunch of albums about nothing. He was just either braggadocious and just was a nigga that was just competitive in music. Wayne never really let us in the inside of who he is until you start getting the latter albums and he start picking up the singing and things of that nature. But that never compromises his position in the top 5 or all-time rankings. You know what I mean? Like Wayne is still religiously a top 5 all-time MC, rapper, artist of all time, despite whatever he may be talking about.
Yeah.
So that's the content is only a preference to me.
That's a major knock on Wayne, though. Oftentimes, for a long time,
I always say that's a preference, bro. That's a preference, though. Bro.
But the thing about it is, like, at some point, it's not about Wayne's skill and ability. There was a long time I didn't know what Wayne was talking about. It was like, you spazzing.
You know what?
Listen, I know bars, bro.
I hear you. And see, here's gonna be the person that offsets a lot of this, because I don't know how you necessarily feel about this particular guy. We know how cats in the chat feel, but I'm always on the side that he's undeniable, despite what you think about him. He's a top 5 guy of all time. Eminem. He does not make the music that we are going to relate to, and sometimes even feel like we even know what he's talking about. We're not going to say he's not there because he doesn't have what you're saying right now. Because he has records where he's literally seems like he's talking about an animated film or something. But we're not finna take that away from him. You see what I'm saying?
Well, here's the thing.
Come on.
He started, but I will say this though. What you're not giving Eminem credence for is the fact that, Eminem did what I'm saying in reverse. Eminem started out talking about his relationship with Kim, his daughter Haley, how he had suicidal thoughts, how he was literally on the brink of killing people, and this, that, and the third. So Eminem actually went very deep and dark into how he was feeling, who he is, and how he's transformed. In Relapse, he was talking about his thing. Here's the thing. I actually went and listened to Eminem's catalog. I just don't like him. There's a difference.
See, but a lot of what you're saying right now, people have problem with the type of content that M makes, and it's a preference problem rather than saying it's a must-have in order for him to be regarded as wherever we see him all time. That's a preference, though, because most people would say we don't relate to him, so we discount his.
No, we don't. We don't.
But we can't.
I don't relate to that music. You don't relate to that music. I'm
not going to let that.
No word.
But I'm saying that's a type of barrier with content, which is on the only it's going to be a problem because of whatever your preference is. And what I'm saying is right now, it's not the same barrier or challenge that you're saying isn't a problem with Drake's album or Drake's content. It's a difference in content, but it's saying that you have a preference with saying you rather him being more introspective, him having more content that would tell us who he is. I'm saying that's only a preference problem more so than saying this is an actual must he has to check off. That type of content.
What I'm saying is I can partly agree with you. Here's my only issue though. Is it simply preference when everyone is asking from it, from every artist we just brought up? The GOATs, Wayne, Eminem. They've been critiqued heavily. Even part of Wayne's fall off was a lot of people saying, man, Wayne keeps giving us these verses, but we don't know what the hell he's talking about. He's just giving us bars. He's just giving us punches. A lot of people had that to say. Eminem, hit it. And now I'm not. Again, I'm a Wayne fan, so it's a little different on my end. But I'm just telling you what the critique has been of Wayne historically. Eminem, we don't relate to his music. Yes, he's given us a lot of his life, but dog, I don't want to hear about you raping Donald Trump and you shooting and starting a fire in some alley at the White House and this, that, and the third. I don't relate to you sticking 9-inch nails in your eyelids and sticking yourself with a fork knife. No, I get it. But what I'm saying is the critique is being made, that preference you're outlining is being made on both sides. It just depends on what side you land on. In one instance is you give a lot of your life, but I need you to make sense. On the other instance is you give us a lot of dope content, but you don't give us none of your life. I think people are asking for the same thing.
It's like this is a minority argument. I've only heard that inside of that chat. Like I've never heard people say we don't know who. I promise you. Like bro, why do I like the connecting point with me to Drake is the fact that he tells so much of his story that relates to mine. Like it's not that he's the most miracle, like the most lyrical type of guy in the world. He doesn't even sing the best. It's literally the content. So much of his content meets me where I am in real life. You have to be making life music in order for that to be the experience of fans. I don't look the music I love for him the most is not God's Plan. It's not Hotline Bling. It's the Marvin Rooms. It's the doing it wrong. It's the Furthest Thing. It's the side B's. It's this, and that's life music. Marvin Room is literally, to date, it's my favorite Drake song of all time. Easily. That's the only song I can pick for that. And it's because it's the content. Now, if that's not music, that's life, and something he's dealing with, we have a difference on how we see that then. Because that's the reason I'm even intrigued and so amazed by Drake. I don't know what
there's a difference. I'm gonna say it this way. As somebody who's been on both sides of the coin in life, I think there's a difference being able to talk about
Go ahead.
I just say it that way. I think there's a difference between being able to talk about Shorty from a lens of like, she broke my heart, she wasn't this, I had to play something to the left for another one, this, that, and the third. There's a difference between that and telling a narrative versus being introspective, and I think a lot of people don't know the difference. Drake gives you a highlight on a very deep matter that makes you think he's telling you a whole lot, but he's actually not telling you barely anything at all. Versus someone who's breaking down a real serious situation, and they're actually giving you nothing but the details and not the highlights. And I think oftentimes Drake pulls people in because he's specific enough to make you relate, but he's abstract enough to make you really not know much about what you just heard, just enough that you can say, man, I've been there. I'm telling you, it's a masterful work. It's a masterful work, but it's not what people think it is, bro.
But what you're describing, though, is the reason why he's so gifted. Being able to give scenarios that isn't so detailed to where you X out all of these audiences. You have to you have to be able to know how to make personal music that still appeals to a mass. And he's the master at that. And that's what he does. So when it comes to guys like, it's the reason why some people don't have a lot of quotables, bro, and the reason why he has a lot of quotables. Because some people get so into the details you don't even remember anything outside of just knowing what the verse is about, but you don't know lines from it. You can't pull certain moments like when Drizzy say table turn, bridges burn, you live and learn. Like you can describe about a situation about tables turning, or you can say that and you can just know what that means, and you find yourself in those scenarios and you able to hold on to that bar. But if you start, and what we arguing really is just like probably what maybe you prefer, that your ear is more inclined to listening to and I guess maybe praising versus what mine's is. And I think that's a preference and not a mandatory thing that, you know what, he has to check this out. Because the amount of music that we've gotten over what? He came in 2009, it's 2023, that's 14, practically 15 years, right? Like, bro, to have any must that is on the backs of a preference, I think it's selfish of a fan, bro. As a fan, bro. Like
that's fair. Listen. There'll be plenty. No, go ahead. Word. Go ahead.
No, my bad. I was gonna say like us, like, and I'm not saying this from a place where I don't do it. I still do it. I just have to monitor what I'm saying though. Like if it's a must or he needs, I think that's a problem. Versus I would like for him still to do X, whatever that may be. I think that's appropriate because based on what we like the most, we gonna lean towards wanting that the most. And fortunately, he does what I love the most. But if I'm a lyrical guy, if I'm a different type of guy, I may want him to appeal to me more. But nah, you can wrap it up, my G. What you got?
No, I would just say, I think there'll be plenty more discussion on this. I think it's the difference between growing deep and growing wide. And I think you're right. There's no better
with
artist.
That, man. Woo, growing deep is going wide is crazy. Oh,
yeah.
That mug is crazy, bro. Hold on.
I can't say anything in life anymore, bro. This is crazy, bro.
Hey, go ahead, finish it out, bro.
Yeah, it's the difference between those two things. And again, what I can't argue is that he is a master at mass appeal. He's a master at it. Yeah. He's a master at it. And so maybe you're right. Maybe it is a deep preference that can be conflated with a want rather than an actual want. But I would say I do think a lot of artists fall on either side of the spectrum, and it's rare that an artist gives you both. And normally the artists that give you both are normally the artists that sit on top. I think that's why people hold a special place for whatever we claim old Kanye is in our hearts, because in a way he was giving us all of the things, all of the tenets that were valuable to everyone, in the sense that he was able to make all the musical stuff. He was able to make some of the turn up stuff. He was able to be extremely, self-introspective. He was able to also give a critique of the climate. He was able to talk about the culture and then team up with those who were hot in the culture. Like, he was able to do a lot of that. And so I think that's why people hold that old Kanye spot so high versus the other stuff. But this has been a good conversation, bro. So I can't, at the end of the day, I don't think we're far.
Yeah, this is a good convo, just break, because we now like getting into the depths of the music and just the difference of, you know what I mean, like artists' creative processes and how it plays out into their music, which is always a dope conversation, bro. Because a lot of times it's just, was a song dope? This is my favorite. Da, 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 da. It ain't about actually the process of how it's made and how we receive that. You know what I'm saying? So that was definitely a good conversation, dog. Sale expectations first week, I would say bare minimum he'll do 500K plus. Yeah, it's hard to really see him not doing that on an actual studio album, in him having a single. So I would land it around there, 500K for sure, dog. But yeah, man, it's gonna be a big one, dog. We could finish out with this. This is kind of a continuation of the last conversation about hip hop big three. Big three, is it a thing? I think it's a thing only by default and not by actual reality and facts, right? Look at this guy over there. I think it's a default because here's the thing. I have several reasons why I believe this. One is when you look at why you're gonna call somebody a big three, they would have to be somewhat in the same stratosphere overall, right? And I would say that's not the case. Drake is in it. Like, when we talk about these guys' place in history when they go down, Drake is not going to be in the same section with Cole and Kendrick. He's going to be up there with the Michaels, the Beyoncés, the Rihannas, the whoever you think is your GOAT of all of music. He's not going to be held to just a genre. He's beyond rap. And these other two guys are inside of rap, and that's pretty much their ceiling and has been their ceiling to this point. So that's one thing. The other thing is it a big, if it's a big three, how is it designated only for the three guys that we're saying, right? Because if we go back, if I pull up this picture up here, like the actual where is it at? I go to the screen right here. If you look at this right here, the people that's above your head is Drake, Kendrick, Nicki Minaj, and Cole at the end of that. I bring that up because who's to say Nicki Minaj isn't in that third slot, right? Who's to say? If we talking about our era big three, who's to say Nicki is in that? She's more successful than the other two guys, right? When they come to chart, when they come to sales, she's comparable in sales. I would probably say she sells more than Cole for sure. Kendrick, you probably make a case. Ability, skill, hits. I mean, who's to say? And then let me say the other person that we gotta consider, because you have to hold these spaces. It shouldn't be up for grabs. Travis Scott has consistently been putting his name in this race. Now, if you disagree, I would say you may not be of the know of the guy's music, his performance, his success, because he's outselling one of the guys that we have there for sure in Cole. For multiple albums, he has more hits, right? A lot of people don't like when I do this last name, but Future is another name I have to put in this mix. Yeah, I'm going there today, baby. I have to do this stuff because these are guys that consistently not miss the mark when they come through with an album, they're more active than these other two guys we keep on saying are the designated big three. So this guy for sure has more hits. He has more albums. He has actually albums that we say are classics, right? Because if we're going to go, let's just talk about Cole right now. If we're talking about Cole, he universally has one classic album. 2014 Forest Hill Drive. If you go to somebody like a Future, he has several projects that are classic. DSP, Beast Mode. Some people would say, what a time to be alive. If you're going to look at the hit comparison between those two, it's a landslide. If a versus happened between Cole and Future, Cole may not come out the next day. I'm just going through categories. Now, what these other two guys are going to have over some of the two guys that I just named, being Travis and Future, is what we're going to say is skill set and lyrical ability, right? It's not even a contest. It's not a contest. But you have to look at everything wholesome and not what you actually prefer to make people great. Now, I'm gonna give it to you after that, man, because I just, honestly, all that wasn't my opinion, but it's what's being said. And some of it was my opinion, and I agree with a lot of it. But where do you land in the midst of this whole mythical thing that's been happening with this mysterious big three, my G?
So, let me say this. Travis, like we talked about on the previous podcast, this debate's not going to be long. Travis, like we talked, it's not. Because I understand that this is very subjective. So, Travis, unequivocally, is somebody that deserves the consideration to be in that slot. As we talked about previously, things of that nature. I'm not tolerating another name outside of Travis. Because here's the reality of the situation. It's not about the disrespect of Future. Future runs in an entirely different lane. And does Future have all the hits that an artist will want? 100%. But I think we're talking about quality over quantity. And when we talk about Kendrick Lamar and Jermaine Cole, I also think people would now, in hindsight, argue Born Sinner as a classic as well. By the way, and it doesn't even have to be your favorite album. It's just when you go back and the way it's aged very well to a lot of people.
Born Sinner is my favorite Cole album, by the way. 2014
Yeah,
Forest Hill is just
so I think 2014 of Born Sinner he's getting that credit actually. But let me just say this. Future just doesn't run in the same lane as the other dudes. And I think I don't want to disrespect Future.
Neither does Travis. And that's where I challenge people to have to be objective. Because we often say because and honestly, it's really funny because Drake doesn't run the same lane as the other two guys, if we're being fair.
I'm gonna get there. Because my only thing is this. Future represents, and this is not disrespectful because I love Future. So I'm only saying this so that people understand what I mean. So take it more like even if you don't agree, see where I'm trying. See, like if there's a better way to say this, say it for me rather than just disagree. Because I think you understand what I'm saying. Future is the evolution of a mumble rapper. So here's what I mean by that. It's the idea that he runs a lane that is not even synonymous with what would be considered a GOAT because he's taken a lane and he's revolutionized it, but it's not even one that we would put in even the category. It's like saying, how do we compare somebody who's a sprinter versus somebody who does long distance running? It's not the same. There's two different measurements of what we're even looking for. So it's not about Future's accolades. It's just saying that the two lanes we're comparing aren't even apples to apples. They're more like apples to pears. We're not talking about the same thing. It's like, nah, fam. Like, so I don't think Future fits in the category. I think Travis is more of the apples to apples, though he's slightly different. But I think Travis has enough of the rap elements that you look for. There's been records where even Travis has had bars on. You would never argue that for Future, for real, if we're being honest. So I think that's what kind of puts Travis more in that mix. But also, let me say this too. Let me add this part. I think also The reason why there has to be a hip hop big three is because Drake is not simply a hip hop artist, but we're just talking about Drake's position within the genre of hip hop because he touches so many genres. And because Drake is a citizen within hip hop, but not a resident of hip hop, makes this argument a more of a fact that there is a big three. It's not necessarily putting the other two artists in the stratosphere of Drake, but it is saying while he's in hip hop, this is where he lands in this genre versus everything else because he's not just in one genre. So I think if when a lot of people are talking on this issue, that's the box that they're putting it in. They wouldn't mistake Kendrick and J. Cole to be on the same level because we know he's got more number ones than those guys, more numbers than those guys, this, that, and the third. But it is to say that while he's in hip-hop doing the hip-hop thing, where do we place him? And he's got to be with the other two dudes who are primarily hip-hop, holding down the culture when he's absent, singing in Jamaica or thinking he's Bad Bunny in Mexico.
I have to challenge you on it.
Go ahead.
The reason I have to challenge you is because he's more like, here's the thing, bro. When I'm saying this stuff, I'm not even including really what he does outside of rap. When you cut Drake non-rap contributions away from him, he's still head and shoulders over these other two guys because one is still madly inactive, right? They don't give a lot of features up until now. Recently, what Cole has been doing, they don't do all these extracurriculum things that Drake has always been participating in since day one. When you talk about feature runs, when you talk about ushering in sounds and guys into the game. Like, I mean, you could just look at moments where it's like Drake bringing this artist in, he's bringing this artist in, he's putting his arm around this guy. When you talk about the moments that's being provided, this is another thing I was talking about earlier in the chat, as far as like rap beefs and square up and matchups. We've been getting all that type of great stuff of rap from Drake. Like, we haven't been getting that from these other two guys that look like they were more rap close. We've been getting that from the Drakes of the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's been coming from him. And then this is another thing. When I say I love when he has records that go number one that actually is rapping Drake, because he's proven, I'm not a beneficiary of just being a pop artist and all my stuff go crazy because I can sing on stuff. No, I can take a record like First Person Shooter and go number one with it. Because for the longest, cats used to say that was a thing. Everything that goes number one with him has a melodic or a melodicness to it or a note on it. I'm like, nah, bro. Dude can very much do the same thing with these type of records that don't even post to be up on the charts or playing in radios. So, like, even when you take away the commercial or the non hip hop contributions, bro, Drake does more for the culture of hip hop. He does, bro. Like, when he go out there and had those special shows in New York, it was no tours. He was bringing out like Dipset. Like, he reaches back to the old cats while also reaching down way more than Cole and Kendrick do. Historically, he's been doing this. Now, he's tied to one of the greatest hip hop labels of all time in Cash Money. So a lot's already there because of that. But even outside of that, bro, as he's progressed and grown, he hasn't looked like the guy that blew up off of rap and left rap. He very much has taken rap to becoming the biggest genre as it sits right now. Like, we have to credit him for that. That's when I say, when you take away them contributions that are non-hip hop, bro, I can't sit here and say it's a big three in the things that he's done is on the same level, which is lower, with Cole and Kendrick. They too inactive. They don't do half of the stuff that I mentioned that this guy's done, and he's still doing. We seen what happened after Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. He has an amazing tour, dropped the album, and we hear nothing. We hear nothing. He pops his head out for Baby King, and that's it.
You're adding a different element to the conversation. I don't think the masses are adding, in the sense that we understand the differences between activity. I don't think that's part of it. I understand.
I always say people are inactive. You can't go away for 5 years, bro, and think you're still going to hold the slot. You see what I'm saying? You can't hold a slot. Though. If you ask me, so let me ask you this. Who's the 2 and the 3 between the big three? Who's the 2 and the 3?
Kendrick's 2.
See, this is where I'm talking about. This is crazy. Dog, you cannot. This is crazy to me, dog. You go away for 5 years. Another guy been on a feature run, drops albums, and this guy's still at the third slot, and the other guys. How does that calculate like that?
Career stats. Let me tell you something right now.
Oh my God.
Kendrick Lamar has out of four studio albums that we consider, 3 out of 4 of those studio albums are considered universal hip hop classics. What do you want me to say? On top of the fact that when he does
he doesn't do enough. That's the reason why I don't have Big as high as people have him. He has 2-3 albums, bro. We not giving
listen
him
what I'm
that.
saying. First of all, he's still alive and still working. Yes, he doesn't. Yes, he.
But it's the argument of not having enough, though, is what I was bringing that into the fold for. But now go ahead.
I mean, here's the thing. He's been more efficient in less time than the dude that sits in number 3. He's been more efficient in less time. That's just the reality of the situation. In less time, I've been more efficient than you to deliver critically acclaimed stuff. While you've been out here working, I've been out here at the house. And I release, I aim and I hit the target at 10, and you hit it at 7 and 8. While you've been out here shooting your whole entire career, that's not my fault.
So what you're saying is,
bang, I'm gone.
Now hold on, now that bangs. So what you saying? The big three,
and I'm gone.
The big 3 conversation only consists around discography. It doesn't consist around activity and the things that I was bringing in. People providing those moments, rap beefs, matchups, shows, like features. None of that matters. Is what you're saying.
I think the big three, simply put, is a career milestone and accomplishment argument. So again, what continues to set Drake apart is actively what he's doing, what he's done, but also his career milestones. While the other 2 dudes are relying on what they do when they do it in their career milestones, which is why there's a big gap between 1, 2, and 3. But what I'm saying is, when you take those 3 in hip hop, their precision and quality over quantity leaves them ahead of the pack no matter who you put in there. Unfortunately, you may not like that just because.
See, I don't see. Here's the thing, because Travis,
the reality of the situation.
Travis Scott does not have a bad album, and he outsells both of those guys. Based off of what you're saying, he would have to go over at least one of them. He would easily have to go above Cole.
But
based off of what you just said, he has no bad albums. He has classics, and he sells more than both of those guys. He would have to be.
I'm gonna tell you what Travis' problem is.
It's too many caveats in this situation. Go ahead, what you got, man?
Here's the thing: you're arguing with the culture, though, and my thing is like you have every right as being part of the culture. Where you have every right to argue with the culture. That's fine. But what I'm saying is you're denying that at the same time there are just certain people who can't be what other people are. For instance, I was in the conversation. Literally yesterday, and the conversation was about Beyonce and Michael Jackson and what doesn't make Michael? I mean, what doesn't make Beyonce Michael to most people? And I said it's the same thing that doesn't make Jordan to LeBron. It's not about whether or not when you look upon LeBron's career if he's accomplished more. We're saying, look, at the height of your powers, you're just simply not this guy. And I know you may not like that. You can go out and win the scoring title. You could be top 10 in assists, top 10 in rebounds. You may even be able to go win another championship, and still people will say, you've continued to add to your resume. Congratulations, and you're still not Michael. And what I'm saying is, and here's the thing, that's not even just bias.
That's bias.
There's still some pieces that are probably right. Because here's the thing, at the height of LeBron's powers, if we want to take individual like when we talk about peak, I think LeBron is on the other side of his peak. And LeBron's peak is not Michael's peak. It's not. I've watched, as being able to have the privilege of watching them both, it's not. So yes, LeBron has accomplished more, but his peak is not Michael's peak. Mike's efficiency, Mike has only played in 6 finals, whereas LeBron may play in 11.
And see, I think what you're discussing right now, though, is just a difference in the way people define greatness or who's the best. Because it's a collection of both. Peak cannot be the end all be all of what we continue to say is greatness. You have to model something over over a long period of time in order to hold. And that's the thing. This big three is something you have to uphold. It isn't just granted to you because a peak in the past was once here. So when you're talking about,
but they have though. Which is why they're the big three.
When you go away for 5 years, you didn't know, bro. When you go away for 5 years and Travis was out here dropping Sicko Mode, going #1, killing shows, and he come back and drop Utopia, that's not upholding when he's outselling you too. That's somebody being biased because this person was once in my heart looked at it as like this. It's like when I heard Stephen A. say, it's nothing that LeBron can do to have me eclipse Jordan. That's blasphemous for me because you're automatically writing off saying no matter what he does, even if it proves that he's better and greater based off of his accomplishments, I can't remove my bias for him to give it to somebody else to surpass him. That's where you're being madly subjective. People have to move the bias out of their hearts to be objective. And look, I'm not saying I'm an expert at doing it, but if I am doing it, I recognize it and admit that that's what's happening. If people can't do that, they're just being delusional at that point. You have to admit your biases. And somebody
I think that's a slightly different argument, though. Though I'm with you, and I agree. I think that's a slightly different argument because I think it's being able to look at the totality. Yes, you're doing these things. But again, if you do it's not like Travis is putting out 4 albums while they're putting out one. He's doing more work than they're doing, but it's not, the body of work is not so much more because you have to understand. Even while Kendrick didn't have an album out, he did do the whole Black Panther soundtrack. It's not like he gave us absolutely nothing. So what I'm saying is like the reality of the situation is you're doing more work for sure, and you're doing more work at a consistently high level. But when that person drops, their work eclipses yours when they drop.
Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers wasn't. But I'm gonna tell you right now, it's been over a year, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't know what you feel like. I don't know what kind of conversations or what Mr. Morale and Big Steppers is not a horrible album. It's not a bad album, but it's not what it seemed like you made it to be initially. Right? It's not a classic. It's not To Pimp a Butterfly. It's not Good Kid, Mad City, which is my favorite Kendrick album. Kendrick is a safe bet to know you're going to get good music, right? So he's not going to give you a bad product. He doesn't do that. But that's the same thing that Travis does. He doesn't give bad projects. He don't even have sour lemon projects dating back to his mixtapes. And he outsells you. And come on, bro. Like we have to start being more real and honest in the moments where we have to start looking at our guys that are favorites and saying we have to critique them and being real in that moment. People don't like to be faced with that. But I'm here to do it, dog. Like, you got to be honest enough to say, you know what? Like, bruh, it was this hard thing for me to say when LeBron came back 3-1 that I now publicly say he's past Kobe at that point. At that point, I never said that, right? But it was tough. But it's certain greatness that happens that you have to be honest enough, especially if you in this space, you want your opinion to matter to people. You can't just be doubling down on biases and trying to give opinions on things and expect people to listen. You got to show some type of like realness and objectivity in the moments where things are clear. And people ain't doing that in moments where, people go absent for 5 years and not doing that.
To me, this is the perfect way to end this conversation and to end the show with one question. And the question is this. Are you saying it's clear that Travis has removed somebody from that big three? Are you saying that's clear?
I would say it's a convincing amount of evidence that shows that conversation needs to be more real. Rather than just saying, because right now we're saying there's designated individuals in the 3 slots of the big three. And I'm saying that's where the problem is. There needs to be an investigation there because somebody like Travis, because I'm saying this is something over the last 10 years, our era, 2010 till now. Like there needs to be, which is somebody like Nicki Minaj was in a game and popping before Cole and the Kendrick. She very much needs to be in that conversation too. You didn't really explore or expound and elaborate on why you think she shouldn't be there. But trust me, she has the evidence that says she does belong at that table. She does. If you want to talk about impact, discography, hits, success, She has more of that than both of those guys.
That's another episode because I would love to give Nikki 50 minutes.
I would love and look, I would love that because we've never really it's not a lot of opportunity to ever really deep dive on a female MC. You know, people could probably take that crazy one. I mean, they don't make music for me anyway, but the ones that do, I would love to actually have that conversation about Nikki's that. You know, Nikki, I've always looked at Nikki as a genderless MC. I never was just looking at her as the best female MC. She always had, she has bodies with Eminem and Ye on the record. She has bodies with niggas on records.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
We should do that. We should do that.
That's another conversation, dog. But hey, this mug, season 2, bro. Hey, we came in with that. Hey, niggas came in with that energy for sure, dog. Like, this mug definitely has some energy, bro. Like, how you feeling though, my G? What's popping for the rest of the week, dog? Like, I'm
feeling great.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm feeling great, man. Listen, if you're gonna be in Atlanta, mid-October, holla at me. Would love to get with you if you're gonna be there the week of the 20th. I'll be in Atlanta. I'll also be in Atlanta at the top of November. So any of the people who are in Atlanta, you know what I'm saying, I would love to see y'all, family members, you know what I'm saying, all of that. If you chopped it up with me, hit me up, man. A lot coming. Stay tuned. With what's coming up as far as just announcements and all of that. I do got some things in the works and have been brewing for a little while. So yeah, man, thanks for remaining patient. It's been a crazy year, man, but a great one and a grown one, and I'm excited, man. Also excited for season 2 of The Word of Clarity. Follow us on the socials, man. That's all I got, G.
I feel that, my G. Man, we had 2 hours and 27 minutes. I was gunning for an hour and 15 minutes, bro.
It's all good.
See, I'm gonna tell you what
man,
did
to break it up, part 1,
right,
part 2.
Yeah, it's definitely enough to break it up for sure, dog. So we may have to do that, dog. But that James Harden stuff definitely got us off track for a second, and then the Drizzy shit, dog. That going between the lines of the introspection and knowing him, that mug was. But nah, I mean, it was a good episode, man. Glad to be back, man. Season 2 for sure. Man, this we gonna gun for every other Wednesday. You know what I mean? So definitely look out. Make sure y'all following us on the Word of Clarity Pod on Instagram. Make sure you hit that like, comment button on YouTube as well. Man, it's a lot coming though, man. It's a lot coming. More Damage Control podcasts on the way. Some interviews coming there. What's the Word? Will be back in action for sure. Got something coming up for the 50th anniversary that we're gonna give back. You know what I mean? Make a tribute for that for sure. So yeah, man, y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. Stay locked in. Season 2, we here live. It's your boy Word, Kenny Klarity. You know what time it is. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Get it.